News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story. A big winter storm is on its way to the Wasatch Front, with snow expected to start falling sometime in the late morning, early afternoon. National Weather Service lead meteorologist Christine Cruz says the snow is expected to gradually turn over to rain as we work through the day and into tonight.
We're looking at up to 2 inches for valley floors. That's Salt Lake Valley and north. And then benches, we're looking more like 2 to 5 inches.
Cruz says we'll likely see valley rain and mountain snow continue through tomorrow before it tapers off Saturday. Our mountains could get 1 to 2 feet of snow. The upper Cottonwoods could get 3 feet or more. People traveling for the holiday weekend are being told to be extra careful going through mountain passes during the storm. Tow truck driver David McPherson tells KSL TV he sees people get into all kinds of problems.
A little bit of snow on the road and turn straight to ice.
The Highway Patrol is asking people traveling through the storm to slow down and give yourself plenty of time to get to your destination so you won't be rushed. They also say central Utah could be a problem spot. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The president's pick to lead the education sector, Linda McMahon, is in her confirmation hearing. She says,
if confirmed as secretary, I will work with Congress to reorient the department toward helping educators, not controlling them. My experience as a business owner and leader of the Small Business Administration, as a public servant in the state of Connecticut, and more than a decade of service as a college trustee has taught me to put parents, teachers, and students, not bureaucracy, first.
RFK Jr. will face a final confirmation vote today. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 98 right now. That's 0.2%. We're at 44,464. Coming up, we do have that winter storm advisory. We're going to take a look at the storm coming in. KSL Weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Stop paying 5-star pricing for 3-star service. It's time for a change. Welcome to Beehive Plumbing's Premier Experience. With our Beehive Premier plan, you have access to our VIP phone number and website to ensure prompt and reliable plumbing service by an expert 5-star technician. Why Beehive? Our Premier package comes with an industry-leading warranty, giving you up to 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Yeah, that's right, 10-year warranty. Call Beehive Plumbing today or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
This is Rod with great news for Utah homebuyers. When you hire the Save Right team of realtors at Realty Path, you get a Bank Buster loan with a fixed interest rate in the 5s. What is a Bank Buster loan? A Bank Buster loan gives you a fixed interest rate in the 5s. Bank Buster loans give you maximum buying power. Monthly payments can be up to $800 lower. Bank Buster loans can save you hundreds of thousands in mortgage interest. Get your Bank Buster loan when you hire the Save Right team of realtors to help you buy a home. Start with a rate in the 2s. Ask us how. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com. Get way more home for a lot less money. Get a Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahn's Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit Tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at Tuacahn.org.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the biggest issue we have is in the Salt Lake Valley. It's the connecting ramp from westbound I-215 to head southbound I-15 in the Murray Midvale area. A semi has rolled, blocking the entire ramp that will take you to southbound 15. So people are being forced onto northbound I-15, even if they don't want to go there. So that extra traffic getting onto northbound 15 is causing backups on I-15 all the way back to 90th South and Sandy. So that whole area, you're just going to need to allow extra time on your drive this morning. Everybody else moving along pretty well. Just a little bit of slowing remains northbound 15 coming out of Lehigh to the point of the mountain from an earlier crash that just cleared. The Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $6,250 off a new 2024 Equinox. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got a storm moving in today. It'll likely start in the next few hours. Highs will be around 40 degrees. It'll start as snow and turn to rain. Right now, it's 28 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
It really is a big day on Utah's Capitol Hill for a lot of pieces of legislation, likely some robust debate. But the proposal that Dave and I are going to bite off this morning is one that we have leaned into over the years, and now it is bubbling up on Utah's Capitol Hill, the debate over free food, free breakfast and lunch for public school kids.
Now, I don't mind feeding kids lunch. We grab them for 7 hours a day. We make them go to school. We can feed them lunch. I'm a little concerned that we're asking schools to do too much when we start offering not only lunch, but breakfast. We know some schools are even providing food for kids on the weekend. They give them food kits to take home. Now, we should feed kids, but I just don't think it's the school's job to take on this huge responsibility to feed kids breakfast, lunch, and even food on the weekends.
So what's the solution then, in your view? If they're not taking it home from school, are their parents driving to a food bank? Is there a food pantry that's delivering the food to their home? What makes up the gap in your view?
I think there is probably a need, whether it's a charitable organization, a nonprofit that specializes. I think a food pantry is the perfect place to look to feed kids. Schools are for educating our kids, not for feeding our kids. Now, again, maybe this is slicing it a little too thinly, but listen, feed them lunch, but there are other organizations that feed families in need. It's not the schools.
So no breakfast, yes to lunch, even if their bellies are totally growling for the first 4 or 5 hours of the school day, because a lot of times my kids weren't going to lunch till afternoon-ish. But so their tummies are full in the afternoon if they eat their lunch. That's how you look at this.
Yeah, it's assuming that they have no access to food at home. If that's the case, then we have a bigger problem.
Yeah, and I think kids would struggle to learn. And then we might not be getting the results that we want as taxpayers with test scores and, homework completion, and they're really not absorbing the information. I mean, I have a hard time working on an empty stomach. I can't imagine trying to learn trigonometry on an empty stomach. By the way, I never learned trigonometry.
Yeah, me either. I'm with you. But we don't ask our work to provide us meals, right? That's our responsibility.
Okay. So we're going to pitch for phone calls. Do you agree with Dave? 801-575-TALK. There's a lot more to this legislation, so I really would love it if you listen to what Holly Richardson of Utah Policies, she's the editor there, has been tracking on Capitol Hill and has been so gracious to join us before you totally form an opinion on this. So good morning, Hall. Once again, it's good to talk to you. We talked to you a little earlier about this, and it sounds like this has at least bubbled up to the top on Capitol Hill, but maybe it's on pause as of a few minutes ago.
Yes, that's correct. So there's a bill by Senator Luz Escamilla that would provide free breakfast and lunch to all students in public schools in the state of Utah, and it is on hold in the committee hearing. What that means is they didn't vote to move it forward, but they can still revisit it.
Okay.
So it's not dead, but it's on pause.
Now, Holly, typically free and reduced lunches are something that is reimbursed by the federal government. Is she just saying, let's take care of this on the state level?
No, it's a combination, and you're right. And it's not just lunch; it is breakfast also, Dave, actually. And so what she's saying is they would work in conjunction with the state board would work in conjunction with CHIP, for example. So and the school districts with the free and reduced lunch already, so that they can maximize the federal government's input into these funds. I think what you need to remember is during the pandemic, the federal government provided money to feed kids at school once the schools were reopened. And what we saw was there were more kids taking advantage of that than people anticipated. And I think part of it is because it's really, it can be a social stigma to admit that you don't have enough food at home, right? Or to go up and say, hey, I really didn't have anything for breakfast this morning but a piece of bread. And it gives you the ability to feed these kids. And Debbie's right. You can't learn on an empty stomach. It really impacts our ability to learn. So what we saw was there were a lot of people who felt like this was an important thing for their kids. You have to also consider if they're coming from a household that's food insecure, perhaps, these kids may not have parents who are home when they go to school. Those parents might be working. They may have a one-parent household who has an all-night job or something. So this just would impact everybody in the state. The bill also would give parents the right to, of course, pay for the meals if they want to for their kids and to opt their kids out of this program if they choose to.
Yeah, and so parents who can afford it and are maybe against this program could certainly opt out. I would be very curious if this bill does get off the ground, Holly, to see how many parents do opt out at the end of the day. I guess we won't know that unless this passes. But I think the fiscal note might be a bit of a hiccup for this legislation. I looked at it this morning. I always appreciate Utah Policy sending out the latest legislation, and I look through your your .com articles every day. Looks like it's reached $160 million. I think the Deseret News reported a few weeks ago it was more around $100 million. Where is it at right now? What number do we put on it?
Yeah, the fiscal note on the bill is $160 million per year, and it would come out of the income tax fund that's set aside for education. So it would create a new fund, but basically the money would come out of the fund that's already being used to fund education.
What are the arguments that you've heard in opposition to this free food at school?
Really exactly what you've said. It's not our role. It's not our job. And that's a lot of money. So I think there's several legislators who've been working on this issue. Tyler Clancy is another one. He's a representative on the House side. He took a stab at this last year. It also didn't pass. So he's kind of revamping what he's doing this year and really working more on looking at people whose income levels are lower than the poverty level or very close to it. Right, and making sure that the people who are the most in need are the ones who are the most likely to get the food. There's also schools who are already doing food pantries within their school, and I think that's important to know too, right? There are already efforts to feed kids who are coming to school hungry, and it's being done with the community in conjunction with the community, but there are schools that already have food pantries on campus.
Well, Holly, make sure you keep touch base with us if that bill does move forward. Love to have you, of course, as always, back on the show to give us an update on where things stand. We always get a lot of interest from our listeners when we start talking about free school lunch, free school breakfast in this case. Holly Richardson, editor of Utah Policy, as always, thank you.
I want to make sure that it's very clear. I don't want hungry kids, right? I understand it. It's hard to concentrate if you have a growling belly in class. I totally understand that. The question I would have is, who is best equipped to feed our kids? Is it schools or is it a food pantry? We have done live shots from food pantries, and they often tout their ability to take $1 and be able to basically turn it over and over and over again. They can buy 4 times the amount of food that you and I can. If I buy a box of granola,
bulk?
Yeah, because they negotiate with other grocery stores, and they get great deals and discounts. So who is best equipped to feed our kids? Is it schools or is it a food pantry? And I just want to make sure. I have no doubt that schools are best at teaching my kids math, but there's probably another company or another group out there that is better at feeding kids.
We're going to take live calls, 801-575-TALK. Do you agree, lean into this idea of free school lunch and free school breakfast for our kids, or not? Hi, Mary. Are you there? Are you staying with us?
You.
Hi, Mary. Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah. What do you?
Good morning.
Do you like this idea, or are you against it?
I love it. I love this idea. And Dave, how would it be if your kids went without lunch for a week? Not all families are able to get to a food bank. That's the problem. And these kids need this food, morning and afternoon, and maybe even over the weekend to take home a snack. But I don't think, not all families, again, have a chance to go to the food bank to get food. And this is the only source of food that they have.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate the calls. I was thinking when you were talking, Dave, it is not usually in these situations, it is not a one-day deal for a child. It is every day, day in and day out, where they just don't have food at home. I remember many, many years ago, as a news reporter, going out to a family's home in Utah, where a mom was finding a path out of poverty. I mean, she really did take incredible steps to bring her and her children out of poverty. She was a single mom. She showed me her pantry cabinets, and there was nothing in it. I mean, nothing in it. It wasn't like, oh, there's a few things in it. There was nothing in it. And she was seeking the help of, as you said, food pantries. But at the time, of course, this is in the 90s, these programs were few and far between, and many parents or kids were ashamed to even ask for the money. Now I think it is becoming, I don't want to say more popular, that's not the right word, but less of a stigma is attached to it. When you need help, you ask for help. That's why help is there. But we know parents still don't apply for it. And in that moment, there were 2 moments in my career as a reporter that I realized that not everybody has the same life that I grew up in. And there were a lot of kids out there who were just hungry. And that was one of those moments where I realized her children weren't just going to school hungry or going to bed hungry one day a week. This was their lifestyle. And schools are a universal place where kids go almost every single day of the year until they're out of school for the summer. So it just, to me, started to make sense that we as a community can step up and help roll back that stigma. The other experience I had as a journalist was when I went to interview a child nutritionist, he was actually a doctor, about fast food for children. And the premise was, fast food isn't good for kids. It's contributing to obesity, and there's probably a somewhat of an argument to be made for that. But in that moment, when this doctor looked at me and he said, I will never judge parents who give their child $1 for a burrito at the local fast food restaurant or a hamburger, because what he had learned in his career is that is sometimes the only source of food that child will have all day long.
Yeah, I absolutely do not want hungry kids. I think the argument is, are schools the best place to feed kids? Now you say they go there, 180 days out of the year. There's 365 days out of a year. So half the days in a year are not spent in schools. So I want to make sure that if we're serious about feeding kids and feeding kids in need, let's make sure we're not just taking care of 180 days out of the year. Let's figure out how we can feed them 365 days out of the year. And that's why I think schools are one of the maybe a partial solution. We can feed kids lunch. That's great. But we want to look at feeding kids 3 meals a day, right? And the best way to do that is not to say, hey, we're going to expand in schools to feed kids breakfast, lunch, and then send them home with dinner. I don't think that's the job of a school. We need to perhaps refund or create easier pathways to food pantries, and maybe there's delivering, whatever it might be. But we want to feed kids 365, not just the 180 days they're at school.
Alicia from Bountiful, it sounds like you agree with Dave on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I believe that this is the parents' responsibility to take care of their children in all aspects. And by removing that responsibility from parents, it exacerbates the problem that parents wash their hands of taking care of their own children. So I think that this needs to be in the parents' hands. I agree with food banks as long as they're not funded by the government. This should absolutely not be in the schools and not be paid for by taxes. We are a God-fearing people, and we can take care of our...
Thanks for your call, Alicia. Appreciate it. Dave, you've got any follow-up with Alicia's comment there?
Yeah, we want to feed kids. I don't think the argument is whether or not we're for feeding kids, but we can't remove the responsibility of parents. We can't step in and say, hey, the parents aren't doing their job, so we're going to feed your kids. If parents are not feeding their kids, that is a deeper issue.
Doug from Ogden, good morning. It sounds like you're in favor of free food at school. Hey. Go ahead.
Yes, I am, because I actually grew up in a rural community, and I had, I didn't have both parents. I had my father, who worked constantly, but we were food insecure. There was sometimes where the only meal we got was that lunch at school, and there's times where, you can't get to a food pantry. How, if a kid has a parent that's working constantly just to provide, just to get the minimum paid for, keep the utilities on and the house, a roof over your head, there's sometimes not enough money there was times where my dad didn't eat because there was no money. And there's times where you can't get to a food bank, especially when you're in small communities, rural communities where that's just not available.
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, because I wonder how far was the food bank if your dad was to put you in the car and drive you to it. Did you even know?
Over an hour.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate your insight and your willingness to share your story growing up as a child who's food insecure. Brian, you work at a food pantry. Do parents show up who need to feed their school-age kids at the pantry you work at?
Yeah, so I've had opportunities to work with my employer at food pantries as a volunteer, and the relief that these kids have when you hand them a bag of food is overwhelming, nearly in tears. So I think we need to prioritize funding, not only breakfast and lunch, but also more help, more volunteers for the food pantries.
That's what I'm wondering is, people, when they say things like, we need to provide food from food pantries, is there enough food that's donated that you've seen and enough volunteers who are willing to work at the food pantry to distribute that food?
I know at least through Utah Food Bank, who we partnered with, the need is there. They always need more help, especially with distribution. And the donations do come in. A lot of food companies and grocers, they have stuff that's about to expire or not going to be fresh anymore, and so they provide that in droves, but they need hands to get it out there.
Yeah, so they need more people to be willing to volunteer.
And I think that is an incredible solution right there. The food pantries, we know, this is what they do, and they have these incredible relationships with grocers who are being generous themselves, and they donate this food. So often I think we look at schools and we think, oh, they've got our kids so often, this is the perfect place to feed them. Mm-hmm. Again, they're there for 180 days. And if kids are missing days because of illness, let's figure out how to feed kids 365. That's the solution that I'm looking for.
Dave and I talking about legislation that sounds like it's been put on pause, at least for now, on Utah's Capitol Hill that would feed Utah school children, public schools, breakfast and lunch. It's got a $160 million price tag. That's a fiscal note attached to that legislation. We'll have to see where it goes. But Dave, I got to tell you, go back to Doug in Ogden, who called in so willing to share his story growing up as a food insecure child. The food pantry solution is not a one-size-fits-all solution if a child doesn't have a food pantry within an hour of their home and their parent, a single parent, a father in this case, is working around the clock.
Yeah, and if
so
we
they
can
need
figure out
volunteers to deliver it, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I wonder, is the solution, again, the schools, or do we need to find greater access to food pantries? And that's where I think we probably need to create greater access to food pantries instead of just heaping another burden onto the schools.
Straight ahead, let's say your dog corners a man on the run hiding out in your backyard shed. Well, this actually happened to a Utah woman. Then she found out she could have been sued if her dog had bitten that man. Well, she's calling the show next to explain how she's now working to change Utah law to protect dog owners from being taken to the cleaners in court.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Connecticut of Utah has been such a staple in the community for so long because they've been in your homes. They've taken care of your needs, especially when it comes to soft water. Many don't realize that Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. Just right here in our backyard, that's the water that comes in, it's piped into your house, and hard water can wear out, quite frankly, the guts of your home. I have experienced this firsthand in my home where I had all sorts of hard water buildups and stains and corrosion. And when Connecticut installed their soft water system for us, again, years and years ago, it changed overnight. It changed the way it feels to take a shower and a bath. It's much easier. Soft water is so much easier on your skin. It's great for your laundry, your dishes, your expensive appliances. So if you're interested and you want to figure out, okay, is this an investment worth making in my home? I would say invite Connecticut of Utah out to your house. Let them sit down and walk you through why soft water is so crucial for the health, the long-term health, quite frankly, of your house. Give them a call, 801-576-8600, 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Connecticut dealer, or you can check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
Right now, get up to a $15 gift card after rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,025 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,025 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,025 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you, New Nordic.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: people pulled over and found to be driving without a license could lose their cars under a proposed bill. Lawmakers are proposing impounding cars found being driven by unlicensed individuals. West Valley City Sergeant Tyler Longman says in his city, nearly half of all serious crashes involved unlicensed drivers in 2023. Officers are also unsure what to do when cited unlicensed drivers then have to drive away.
How do we approach this? How do we prevent this from happening where a violation is committed right in our presence after a violation has been committed in our presence?
This bill would solve that problem. It also says anyone who allows an unlicensed driver to use their car will be slapped with a $500 fine. A law that's been on the books in Utah for several years prevents people convicted of alcohol-related crimes from buying alcohol. Representative Steve Eliason says there's never been a way to enforce the purchasing ban.
Upon the designation as an interdicted person, they will surrender their license. Driver's license will issue them the new license that will say no alcohol sale.
He says if the bill becomes law, places that sell alcohol would be required to ID check everyone to ensure the customer is not an interdicted person. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: Hamas says it will release the next group of 3 Israeli hostages as planned. The terrorist group threatened to delay the next release, accusing Israel of failing to meet its obligations, including allowing tents, shelters, and other helpful items into the Gaza Strip. Israel had threatened to renew its offensive if hostages were not freed. The move should allow the ceasefire to continue for now, though its future remains in doubt. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 99 points. We're at 44,468. A storm is on its way in. We'll take a look at KSL weather coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you're turning 65, new to Medicare, or recently moved, a Humana Medicare Advantage plan might be a great fit for you. You could get a plan with a $0 premium, like our Humana Medicare Advantage PPO plan. Plus, all our plans have a yearly cap on your out-of-pocket costs. That means your covered medical costs, including all doctor visits and emergency care, will never go above a maximum out-of-pocket amount that you know beforehand. You can even get prescription drug coverage on some plans, all for a $0 premium each month. All of this can make a difference for your health and your wallet. Make the most of each day by choosing a Medicare Advantage PPO plan that puts you first. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Need a perfect event venue? This is the Place Heritage Park. Ideal for weddings and events featuring 11 venues, beautiful grounds, affordability for any celebration. This is theplaceheritagepark.org.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. And here's Heather Kelly.
We still have the closure of the connecting ramp from westbound I-215 to head south on I-15 right in the Murray Midvale area. This is due to a semi-truck that rolled on that ramp. And UHP says it's going to be a couple of hours before they can reopen it. So right now, if you don't get over and stay on westbound I-215, you'll be forced to head north on I-15, heading up into Murray and South Salt Lake. So you may want to exit at Fashion Place Mall, get onto State Street, head south from there. We also have a crash on 90th South in West Jordan. This is eastbound just after you get underneath Bangerter Highway. The right lane and shoulder are blocked there, causing a bit of slowing. Looking for the perfect suit for that special occasion? Mr. Mac has the best suit selection for any occasion. And get winter clearance pricing today. Visit their 9 convenient locations or MrMac.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A storm is coming today. It'll likely start in the next few hours. A high today around 40. Warmer tomorrow, so rain in the valleys tomorrow. That would start to snow today. Right now, let me see where our temperature is. We're at 28 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Your dog corners a man on the run. The man's hiding out in your backyard shed. And if your canine companion bites the man to protect your family, you're probably thinking, way to go, Fido, thank you so much. Not realizing you could be sued. And that's why a Utah woman decided it was time to call her lawmaker to change the law to protect dog owners from being taken to the cleaners in court.
Because you're basically saying you can't have a guard dog. That there is no place, there's no space for you to own a guard dog. And I think that is so strange. I guess I maybe understood it on some level, but if you have fears for your safety and you get an animal and a dog that is going to protect your house, protect your property, but then they actually go out and protect your house or protect your property, that you're going to get sued?
So Deseret News wrote up an article about this. We're going to speak to that homeowner in just a minute who's trying to make a difference for other dog owners by changing the law on Utah's Capitol Hill. In the Deseret News reporting that dog owners are currently liable if their dogs bite someone on their property, regardless of the circumstances. That was a gee whiz moment for me.
Regardless of the circumstances.
I have owned a couple of dogs. One was a it got retired early, police canine. So it,
Trained
German Shepherd,
Yeah.
right? Well, the reason he was retired is because he wasn't so good at his job.
A little nippy?
Yeah.
Or not nippy enough?
As a police canine. However, I don't want to be held liable if somebody walks on my property, hides out in the backyard shed, and I've had backyard sheds for decades.
Yeah.
And Angus, the dog. And then I had Riley, who was a blue heeler. He was a sweet dog, but still protective of me and our yard. If somebody were to walk in the yard, I'm sure he would. I mean, he might not bark to bite, but he would certainly bark. And of course, I'd be worried about being held liable if he did bite. Cassandra Merritt, good morning.
Good morning.
Did I describe what happened to you? You found your dogs, I should say, found a man on the lam hiding out in your backyard shed?
Yeah, so something like that. I don't know exactly what the man was doing. He claimed he was being chased by somebody else, and there were, there's some gangs and drug dealing going on in the neighborhood at the time, so it was most likely related to that. So he was running off and decided my shed was a great place to hide. And when my dog started going crazy, I thought there's probably just a cat out there, and I go out to check it out, and instead this man comes out of my shed apologizing. He's like, I'm so sorry, I'm being chased. And I wanted nothing to do with it because I was scared out of my mind, because men aren't supposed to pop out of your shed. It's supposed to be a cat. It's not supposed to be a man in your shed.
Cassandra, see, that's a great description of what happened. And I think it's important that we all kind of put ourselves in your spot right there. If you're walking out there, can you just express a little bit more about those emotions when you see someone come out of that shed? And now, as much as he can be apologetic or try to defuse the situation, I would imagine that was a very scary moment.
It was. I was stunned. Like, we have a backyard camera, so we actually looked at the footage later and watched him sneak into the shed and everything, and could see me going out there. And I was literally just like stunned. It was like the blood, I felt like, just drained from my body. I'm like, there's actually somebody here. Like, there's somebody right there and they shouldn't be there. And it scared me out of my mind. And I just backed up and was mostly just like, nope. Mostly in like a state of disbelief. Like, this isn't supposed to happen. I was freaked out. And my dog was running around, barking at this stranger who was in his yard. He was a good boy. He finally did his job, Dogs bark at everything under the sun. And finally he got the thing that he was supposed to be looking for,
But then you figure out after the man runs from your property and you probably hugged your dog for being so protective of you, that you found out after researching Utah law that if your dog had bitten that man in defense of you, your family, or your property, you would have been held potentially liable if he took you to court.
Yeah. I was when I found that out later, I would look back on that moment and be like, thank goodness he didn't bite him and that man decided to do something, because the fines for something like that, it's ridiculously high. It's so expensive, and I'm like, I didn't realize this. I have a dog to keep me safe. I'm like a 5'3", woman. There's not a whole lot I can do if there's somebody who wants to do bad things. It's not there. So I have a dog to keep me safe, to give me a warning, to do all those things. Like, they're another line of defense. And for me to realize, actually that could cost me like $50,000 if my dog actually did the thing that I have him to do. That's crazy to me.
So were you surprised that your representative actually took your call or listened to you?
Yeah, I sent an email to both of my representatives, and Senator Kwan is the one who responded, and I told her the story a little bit, and she responded like, oh man, that is kind of, that's crazy, that's scary, I'll look into it. And I thought, oh, that's cool, she responded, but there's no way I'm going to hear back again. I mean, these politicians have way more important things, whatever they deem to be important. I'm just a little random person. And a few months later, I get an email saying, hey, I've written up a bill and it's looking good. People are in support of it. And I was pretty shocked that something actually happened, that some random person like me could see a problem, be like, I'll just do the system. I'll do the thing that you're supposed to do. You talk to your representatives and they represent you. That's what's supposed to happen. And they actually did it, because it seems politics is so far away from the average person that it was incredible. I was shocked and very happy.
Because Cassandra Merritt is a homeowner in Salt Lake County. We're talking to her because a couple of years ago, her dog had cornered a man, or was barking because a man was hiding out in the family's backyard shed. And so your dog does his job, and then you find out after doing some research that if your dog had actually bitten this man, there's a potential for you to be civilly held liable in court and be sued, and it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So then you contact one of a couple of representatives, Sarah Karen Kwan out of Murray, and she's taking action on Utah's Capitol Hill. And what do you hope comes out of this legislation, Cassandra?
My hope is that people like me who have dogs and expect that there is some level of protection over, you want to feel secure in your property and your home and everything, that we'll be able to have that protection, that we can have dogs, we can have them, even if it's, we just have dogs because we like them. Maybe they're not even supposed to be a guard dog or anything. My hope is that we can have those dogs and feel safe in owning them and keeping them, and not have like a financial threat looming overhead if somebody decides to make poor choices for whatever their reason is. I just want to be able. I want people to be able to feel safe.
Yeah. So if this passes, dog owners would not be liable, at least civilly, if their dog injures a trespasser on your property. So that must give you a sense of relief if that happens.
Yes, it definitely does.
Well, Cassandra, thank you so much for sharing that story with us, and we wish you the best. Thank you. It's nice to see, Debbie, the process work, where you think, you know what, I wonder if my politician, I wonder if my representative would listen to me on this, and sure enough, they do.
We want to take live calls. I am curious, have you brought a dog into your home as a guard dog to protect your family? I wonder how many people knew they could be held civilly liable if their dog bit somebody. That may change, but I want to hear from you. Have you adopted a dog as a guard dog to protect your family? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Let's take live calls. And if your dog's barking in the background, you go to the front of the line.
Hi, I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. In these trying times, when inflation is out of control and our paychecks give us less and less money to support our families, the last thing any of us can afford is for the IRS to garnish wages, levy bank accounts, or seize assets. It's important now more than ever to protect your financial security.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
$66,300.
Let us safeguard you. Visit endtaxworry.com. We have saved countless taxpayers like you millions of dollars, kept businesses in operation, and ensured that our clients receive the best possible outcome.
Nearly $65,000.
$12,000 is something that you can look at and say, okay, I can handle that.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. You work hard for your money. Let us work hard for you. Visit endtaxworry.com.
We're very grateful.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I'm proud to tell you we don't lay off employees when things get tough. During the pandemic, we didn't let one of our installers go. Instead, we had them clean and remodel our offices so they could still get paid. Remember the 2008 housing crisis? It was a financial nightmare for even the biggest contractors. Still, we didn't lay off a single worker. Nope, we sacrificed profits to keep paying everyone. Look, when the economy's down, most contractors are quick to lay off their workers. It's the easiest way to save money when times get tight. But at RGS Exteriors, we're loyal to our people. You know why? Because it's the right thing to do. People first. People always. That's the RGS way. For gutters, siding, windows, and more, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com, 801-280-3110.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Well, if you bought or adopted, I guess I should say, a guard dog to keep your family safe, to alert you if somebody's on your property, we'd love to hear from you. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Because we're talking to Cassandra Merritt. She lives in Salt Lake County, and she found out that when her dog ended up cornering a man in a shed, a man on the lam, on the run, in a shed in her backyard, that she could have been held civilly liable. That means taken to court and sued if that her dog had actually bitten the man, which it didn't. But now she's working to change Utah law so dog owners won't be taken to the cleaners in court.
I would love to hear from somebody that owns what they consider a guard dog, a dog that is there not only to be loved, but also to protect the house or protect your property. Does anyone have a guard dog? I'd love to hear what you do. Do you do any special training? Give us a call, 801-575-TALK. That's 801-575-TALK.
What do you want to bet people don't know that Utah law would open them up to civil liability if their dog were to bite somebody, protecting them? I bet you people don't. A lot of people don't know that, Dave.
No, especially if you are concerned about your safety. If you have this was such a great description. She sees her dogs barking at the shed. Cassandra Merritt goes outside, and a man pops out of the shed. I mean, she said she's terrified in the moment. She doesn't know what he's there for. She doesn't know if he's there to attack her, to rob her, to do something even worse. She has no idea. Now, the man immediately is like, sorry, I'm just hiding out. Somebody's chasing me. But again, you are on somebody's property. You are trespassing. You are unwanted. And you are a potential threat. So why would the homeowner be left liable for tens of thousands of dollars worth of civil fines or being sued?
Yeah, and that would be a huge fear. And she said that. You know, she found out that she'd be hauled to court, and then that's when she turned to State Senator Karen Kwan to say, can we do something about this? Cassandra called the show just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly what the man was doing. He claimed he was being chased by somebody else, and there were, there's some some gangs and drug dealing going on in the neighborhood at the time, so it was most likely related to that. So he was running off and decided my shed was a great place to hide. And when my dog started going crazy, I thought there's probably just a cat out there. And I go out to check it out, and instead this man comes out of my shed apologizing. He's like, I'm so sorry, I'm being chased. And I wanted nothing to do with it because I was scared out of my mind.
We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Give us a call. If you have a guard dog, did you know this? Is this brand new information that you could be held liable for if your dog actually bites? Let's jump out to Wendy in Cottonwood Heights. Wendy, do you have a guard dog?
We do. So we have a German Shepherd Belgian Malinois mix, and we've not trained him to be a guard dog, but he's definitely a guard dog, and we love that about him. And I was appalled to hear this morning that if my dog bites somebody who's on my property, who's there for nefarious reasons, we could be held liable. That's ridiculous. I'm so glad that this lady pursued this, and even more glad that the politicians listened and this is going through, because our dog is friendly once he gets to know you. But if you're there for a bad reason, which we didn't have that scary of a situation as this lady, but we did have somebody out in our separate outdoor garage one time before we had a dog.
Yeah.
Well,
and I've, you know what, I think we've all had somebody enter our property or something like that. So I want to make sure we're clear that this isn't like when a child crosses your lawn, it's a free-for-all with this legislation is specific. The protection would apply when dogs are inside a fenced or enclosed enclosure on private property. So, which seems reasonable, right? Somebody hops the fence, they don't belong there, and then they're hiding out in your shed, and then your dog goes after that person. Now, what I don't know, and we'd have to clarify this, is I've had, people come in my backyard who are like utility line workers and stuff like that, because they do have a right of way to the utility line.
Right.
And I had one of those big power poles in one of my backyards. Like I would just look up and see men on the power pole. Okay. Well, they would be able to gain access.
Right.
Now, I know they'd knock on the door and try to, make arrangements to do that, but sometimes I wasn't home. So I'd be curious to know how the law applies, but that's maybe a separate conversation for another day. We're taking your live calls. Do you own a guard dog? Did you know this law was in the works, and is it a good thing for you?
Glenn in Murray. What do you think, Glenn?
Yes, I have a question. My wife, a couple years back, went and visited a neighbor. She was actually dropping off a gift to them, and their dog came out of the house that they had adopted very aggressively and actually bit my wife. Does this law, we didn't do any suit or anything else, but there should be some responsibility. We didn't have any issues with, contacting the attorney or anything else. We survived it.
That's a great question, though, Glenn. I think that's what's so tricky about this law in general is the dogs don't necessarily know whether or not you're a stranger, if you are dangerous, if you are there just dropping off an Amazon gift, or you're a friendly neighbor, right? A dog isn't processing all of that. So I agree. It's a little bit tricky. So it'll be interesting if this does pass to get some of those details, and we will continue to follow that, Glenn.
That's a great question, Glenn. We can also reach out in the coming days to our legal analyst, Greg Skordas, to ask him if he can give us some insight on that. Not legal advice, but some insight. Hi, Robbie.
Hello.
What do you think of this potential for this new law to protect dog owners if their dog bites somebody who's in their backyard for all the wrong reasons?
I totally agree with it. If you're not supposed to be there and that dog is there to protect his property and you get bit, that should be on you.
So you had an experience, right, with some neighbor kids?
I do. My neighbor kids on my back fence used to always tease my dog. Well, one day one of them stuck their hand through the fence, and my dog, they had to take him to emergency. My dog chewed his hand up really bad. Police were called. And when the police came, They knocked on my door and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know there will be no charges filed. Your dog was doing his job, and have a nice day."
Did you get civilly sued or anything like that in court, or was
no?
That was the end of it. Okay, thanks, Robbie.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
Thank you. Thanks for the phone call.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the question is he may have not been criminally charged, but he maybe still could have been sued civilly. And this is what this law would address, is whether or not you could sue somebody civilly.
Straight ahead, Dave's been looking into a situation in the Layton neighborhood where trees are uprooting sidewalks in that neighborhood. The city sending out a letter to homeowners listing the hundreds of dollars that homeowners would have to pay if they choose to remove the trees.
It's going to be Tree-mageddon. They are coming in hot. They're going to be removing possibly hundreds of trees.
That conversation with two of the homeowners next.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, whether they're currently in recovery, they need some help, Renaissance Ranch wants to offer free family support services.
That's right. And they do a great job with this by using these online classes. They teach them. They're free. They're online. They're easy to access. And there's all kinds of different classes that you can join at a time that's convenient for you.
And the reason Renaissance Ranch offers these free classes is they know research has shown when you have a family member, when you have a loved one that is involved in the recovery process, the research has shown that the chances of a positive outcome skyrocket.
Yeah, and Dave, you've looked over these classes for the last several weeks when we talk about Renaissance Ranch, and there's all kinds of different options. I mean, there's a women's support group, a couples recovery group. I mean, yesterday you talked about one that was starting at like noon, which I mean, maybe on your lunch hour, because if you have a loved one that is going through addiction and they're trying to resolve their addiction, you don't want to lose yourself in that. And that's where Renaissance Ranch comes in.
Yeah, you were talking about that women's support group. That actually is today at 12 o'clock. You could attend it at noon. Again, it's just a Zoom meeting. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't ask you to sign up and put in a bunch of information. You can just go there and learn what you need to and be a great resource. So learn more about these free online classes by going to renaissanceranch.com.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. From January 23rd to 25th, don't miss the largest event of the year, a 50% off closeout sale on select jewelry. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I transferred. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did. And all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, we're tracking a storm moving into the state right now. Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Corey Housekeeper is asking all of us to slow down if we get caught driving in the storm.
Try to spread that volume of traffic out. So if you get out a little bit earlier and you're not with the main packs that are traveling at those same times, it helps.
He says they are expecting traffic to be heavier than normal over the next couple of days because it's a holiday weekend. He also says the roads can get extra icy through mountain passes. A group of Utahns on a team-building fishing trip in San Diego were in San Diego yesterday when a Navy jet plane went down and crashed into the bay.
And then all of a sudden I saw flames coming out the back and 2 orange parachutes ejected. And that's when I'm like, okay, something's happening.
Carol Gonzalez and Connor Palmer tell KSL TV the group on the boat could not believe what they were seeing right in front of them.
It seemed like you were watching a Star Wars movie. It just comes crashing down straight into the water, massive explosion of water, sand.
The group in the boat pulled the pilots from the water and helped get them to emergency responders. Those pilots are said to be all right, but are being monitored in a hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been confirmed as the new Health and Human Services Secretary. It was a tight vote, with Mitch McConnell being the only Republican to vote against Kennedy. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 98 points. We're at 44,467. Coming up, that storm is moving into the state. We'll take a look at it coming up. KSL Weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
It doesn't matter if your only neighbors are wildlife or just wild in general.
I would propose that amendment.
If you work from home, or work is technically at home, every homeowner can save money by getting a ThermWise home energy plan from Enbridge Gas. Discover ways to make your home more energy efficient and apply for rebates if you purchase any energy efficient appliances. Schedule a home energy plan from Enbridge Gas at thermwise.com.
It's the Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. If the cold is seeping in through your old windows, Advanced Window Products will install state-of-the-art double-pane windows with insulated frames. Your home will take on an exciting new look, and you're going to save on your heating bill. And not for nothing, your air conditioning in summer, and right now at the President's Day sale, you save $2,500 off 10 windows or more. For 38 years, Advanced Windows has been building beautiful custom windows and frames right here in Utah. There's no middleman, so you save. So keep out the cold, cut down your energy bills, and save $2,500 with one call to Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100. An expert comes out for a no-pressure consultation. They'll tell you about the payment plans, including no payments for 24 months. The Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. Get $2,500 off. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or just go to advancedwindows.com.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Camping season is right around the corner, and Motorsportsland is throwing a huge RV party in the KZ RV Megatent at our Mill Creek store. Come and check out hundreds of RVs, accessories, and exciting activities including kids' movie nights, RV seminars, on-site radio events, yard games, food trucks, a live performance with Ryan Shoup and the Rubber Band, and did we mention over $30,000 in prizes? Event sponsors include KZ RV, Owned by Cummins, Suburban RV Appliances, Lion Energy, Lippert, Utah Big Game Outfitters, Equalizer, and many more. Free admission, free seminars, and free activities. Buy your RV with us this week and we'll beat any local dealer price or give you $100 cash. Check out motorsportsland.com for event schedule and guarantee details. Adventure awaits at Motorsportsland's Megatent RV event.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
4001 South State.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, all the accidents that we had in the Salt Lake Valley on city streets have cleared, and we didn't really have too many delays from those. But where you do have the issue is on the connecting route from westbound I-215. If you're coming over from the Union Park area and you want to transition onto southbound I-15, you cannot do that. That connector ramp is closed. It's due to a semi-truck that rolled, and there's still going to be at least another hour before UHP anticipates being to reopen that ramp. So you're going to have to exit probably at 280 East. That's the Fashion Place Mall exit. Get onto State Street and head south from there. The Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys at Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $6,250 off a new 2024 Equinox. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Any snow falling in the valley should turn to rain as temperatures rise later this afternoon, but the higher elevations will get several feet of snow. Right now, downtown 29 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, like a lot of neighborhoods around Salt Lake County and beyond, there's trees that are uprooting sidewalks in Layton, in Davis County. And the city now sending a letter to homeowners listing hundreds of dollars that the homeowners would have to pay to remove those trees, to help remove those trees. Dave, you've been looking into it. I'm excited to learn more about this because I do think this is an issue that affects a lot of homeowners. And I think people might not realize that they could be on the hook, too, to remove trees from park strips if they're uprooting sidewalks.
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing because I think it affects all neighborhoods in Utah. I mean, we have issues with trees. It's kind of a catch-22. We want big, beautiful trees because it adds so much to our community, right? Not only is it aesthetic and it looks beautiful and it's wonderful, but it also cools down your home, right? It protects your lawn. We know that it lowers the temperature of the neighborhood. There's so many benefits of trees, but trees grow. The roots start lifting up, whether it's the roads or the sidewalks, and they can cause some damage. So what do you do? Because it can be incredibly dangerous. I was reminded just last year, about this time, a woman lost her life. She was riding a scooter in Salt Lake City, and she hit one of these buckled sidewalks.
She was like the best mother to her kids. That's all they had is just her.
They are trying to promote that main street where the tracks are to be more pedestrian walkway. And I just think that if they are trying to promote something like that, they should definitely fix sidewalks.
So damaged sidewalks, no question. These buckled sidewalks can be extremely dangerous. So what do we do? do we fix the sidewalk or do we chop down the tree? And that's the question I think a couple of people from Layton are asking is, why do we have to just chop down the tree? Why can't we just fix the sidewalk? So joining us right now is Randy Herget and Ashley Simmons. You live in Layton, and you live in a mature neighborhood. I went out there, and I looked at these sidewalks, and there are some sidewalks that are incredibly buckled and very dangerous, right? You couldn't ride a bike on it. But there's also little damages as well. So walk us through, first of all, Randy, let me just ask you, what do these trees mean to your community, and what does it mean to you specifically?
Yeah, it's amazing. I never would have called myself a tree hugger, but really the reason I decided to reach out to you was because how much those trees meant to me. I was asking myself the question, can you do what it takes to cut these trees down? Because I will choose, if forced to do it, I will do it to save myself the $2,000 that it'll cost me to remove them, my portion. And I thought, I can't do it. I can't do it. And if I do have to do it, the only way I can do it is if I've done everything I possibly can to keep the trees. In my particular situation, I have 100% shade. Maybe an hour at high noon we get some sun. But when we had that drought in 2022, it was no problem with the water rationing that we went through at Davis County. My lawn was just fine. And I realized I was way overwatering because I could. I didn't have to, but it was those thanks to those trees. So they're
so the thought of chopping down the trees in your yard.
Oh, it kills me. It just rips me to shreds. I mean, it's like family, and I know that sounds weird. If I was on the other side listening to me talk, I'd be like, "What a kook!" That's
so because I haven't been out there and Dave has. Kind of set the scene for me. Ashley, maybe you can do this. In your homeowner in that same neighborhood, are the trees actually in your yard, or are the trees planted in the park strip just in front of your yard on the other side of the sidewalk?
Yeah, so they're all in the park strip.
Okay.
And there's a variety of trees, different sizes, different types of trees. And so the city, they came into attention that we have problems with our sidewalks, and their solution was to rip out every single tree that had any impact on the sidewalk, not just the ones that had significant, but any impact, including sidewalks that are only lifting a quarter of an inch. Those trees are all condemned. There's 276 homes in our community. The city the city says that we have to remove 160 trees, but then is pressuring residents, saying that in the next 5 years, if the other 140 trees in the neighborhood cause any impact on the sidewalk, you have to remove them at your own cost. So 310 trees.
So you don't have a choice from the city?
We do not have a choice.
And I've read your letter that the city sent you, and it seems like there's a fee attached to what your costs are. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Some of us are paying $500 to remove our trees. Others are, like Randy, it's $1,000 per tree. And in April, they gave us the notices in December, at the end of December, and this has to be done in April. So it is an expedited process. And
they've been growing for 20 years, but now all of a sudden it's like 3 months. We got to have these done, taken care of. So give me an idea. Obviously, as I was walking through your neighborhood, there were some real danger areas where I thought, oh boy, this could be very dangerous. So what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you see the danger possibilities as well. What would you rather do? What would you do rather than chop down the trees?
Sure. I mean, I think that's the one thing everyone can agree on, is that we have to have safe sidewalks. No one's interested in ignoring this problem. What the residents are asking, and we signed a petition, we had over half the residents sign this petition saying, look, we just want to have a choice to explore options. Now, I'm going to say at least half of those trees can be saved by a common practice that Salt Lake City does, cities all across the United States do, is to simply grind down the smaller lips. And that is easy, and that is affordable. And for reasons I don't understand, the city has told us we cannot do that. So that's one thing we can do. There are a lot of other options that we would want to get an arborist involved in, where we can trim the root when possible. And we can actually curve the sidewalk if you can't trim the root into someone's lawn. If they love their tree that much, they might give up a little bit of their lawn to curve the sidewalk. You can reinforce the sidewalk with rebar. There are a lot of things you can do, and we're just asking the city, please let us consider options other than just killing our tree and removing it.
And Randy, before we bring on Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, to talk about, what is your responsibility legally and liability and that kind of thing, I want to ask you, how much would your bill be to remove the trees from your park strip? And my understanding from reading Ashley's letter is the city has said it'll pay half of the expense, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I will have to pay $2,000, which the city feels like is a very fair solution. And by golly, if I wanted my trees gone, that would be a killer deal. And I'd be saying, that's very fair. Thank you. That's above and beyond. Thank you, Layton City. That's not me. That's not a majority. There's a few that this is a good deal because they don't like their trees and they're causing problems in their front yard. But that they've supported those. They know it's important to the rest of us, so they're supporting us. And but yeah, it's going to be a big cost. I've followed your example. I have my rainy day fund, right? I'm a big listener. But I don't want to use it that way.
Yeah, you don't want to chop down things that you like.
It's very unnecessary.
Well, I reached out to Layton City, and I talked to them, and I invited them to join us on this very topic and tell their side of the story and give their reasoning, and they decided not to join us. They turned down that interview request, but they did give me some background information that we can talk about. But I wanted to bring on our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas. And Greg, this is difficult. I mean, I see both sides. Big, beautiful trees worth thousands of dollars that provide so much to a community, but there's also a safety issue. When it comes to sidewalks, if someone were to get injured, and I can't help but think about the woman that lost her life about a year ago in Salt Lake because of a buckled sidewalk. Who is responsible if someone gets injured on a sidewalk?
Well, that's a good question because ultimately it comes down to who is responsible for maintaining the sidewalk and what would be reasonably foreseeable. At this point, and those pictures that I don't know if you took them, Dave, or the city did, are pretty bad. They show that the sidewalk is buckled horribly. So at that point, once you have that knowledge, both the homeowner and the city know that they've got a dangerous thing there. And so both of them would have some liability, if that makes any sense. When it's foreseeable, that is to say, you know that there's a problem, you don't do something about it, you're going to be liable.
And so if this would be, sorry, Greg, if somebody got injured, like riding a scooter or running along, and I have tripped. I mean, I will admit I'm a clumsy runner anyway. I have fallen every which way on loose gravel. I have fallen, literally buckled my ankle off of a sidewalk that was perfectly flat and practically a brand new sidewalk. But I've also tripped on these lips before. So if I did that and I went head first into the tree, what you're saying, and I have been a homeowner, so I would be concerned about the liability as well. You'd say that if that happened in front of my yard and I knew that sidewalk was a problem, I could be civilly held liable.
That's right, because you had knowledge of the problem and you did nothing about it. You know, if the sidewalk just opens up because of some water damage or earthquake or something and somebody gets hurt, you're probably not going to be liable. But those pictures show that these homeowners probably knew, and the city, I'm not blaming one party over the other, that this was a problem and has been for a while. So, yeah, I think the city's made a pretty fair offer saying, look, we'll repair the sidewalk and we'll split the difference with you on the trees. To me, on its face, that seems good. But I'm not the one that's going to lose beautiful trees in my yard, and I understand that they are something that's special to you, and they are something that has some memories. Yeah. And so it's a difficult thing for the homeowners in any way you look at it.
Greg, one interesting detail to this that kind of stood out to me is the city required these trees to be planted in the first place. In the new development, they required a certain number of trees to be planted, and even if these trees are taken down, they're going to have to replant new trees that maybe won't grow quite as big. So I just find it interesting. They want the trees, but then they get mad that the trees grew too big, or maybe they planted the wrong thing. And it's this perpetuating cycle. Like, you want the trees, but then you don't want the trees to do what trees do, which is grow.
Yeah, and if the city said, for example, that's a good point you make, Dave. If the city said 20 years ago, we want you to plant this certain type of aspen tree or whatever it happens to be, reasonably knowing that it was going to grow huge and that 20 years later it was going to create a mess, then the city might be responsible for 100% of the cost. But if they just said, look, you should decorate your park strip, make it pretty, and put something on there, put trees on there, and then it might be the homeowner's responsibility to put something on there that's practical. It's not like a tree in your yard that can grow to some huge height. These are on this little park strip, which is the piece of grass or whatever you have there between the sidewalk and the street. It's usually like 5 or 6 feet wide. So I think anybody would know not to plant something there that's going to get really, really big, because there just isn't that much space.
Greg, thank you so much for joining us, our KSL legal analyst. And as we continue this conversation with Randy and Ashley, who live in this neighborhood, they're being required to chop down these big, beautiful trees. Greg brings up a great point. When the city requires you to plant some trees, did you guys just plant trees that were too big for the area?
Yeah, I've been here since the inception of the development. The developer required trees. It was a PRUD, which doesn't mean a heck of a lot to me. They had a list of, I think, 10 trees to choose from. And then they decided, no, we want each street to all be the same.
Also, they required you to plant
these specific
trees.
Yeah.
The developer did.
Yes.
And the developer has to get this, essentially, the thumbs up from the city. So essentially,
Correct.
The city has to sign off and say, yes, we want trees, and here's the list of trees that you can choose.
Correct.
Yes.
They tried to suggest in our meeting on Wednesday that, hey, that was the developer's idea. But I'm thinking to myself in that meeting going, you guys signed off on it too. Don't try to get out of this on that technicality.
Well, what do you think about Greg's legal analysis on this, that if somebody were to get hurt, now that you've got this letter from the city, you could be held civilly liable? I wonder if that impacts, how you're thinking about this at all, Ashley.
It doesn't, because no one wants to leave these sidewalks the way they are.
You just want
Everyone
another
wants
solution.
To fix them. We just want the city to give people another option. And I will tell you, some of those pictures represent the problem. But we also have situations where you can barely see the impact, and they're safe. And the city is still requiring us to pull those trees. And trees that we invested 20 to 30 years of resources and time into. And they won't let us consider options that they themselves use. The city grinds down lips in their own sidewalks to save their trees because they know it's an asset.
That's what
but for us, they won't allow it.
Randy and Dave, I know you probably want to have the final thought on this, of course, because you've been looking into this for the last several days. But Randy, you mentioned the city had a meeting with the homeowners. Do you feel like there is an open channel of communication that will continue?
I actually left after about an hour when it was completely obvious that the meeting was not held to hear us. It was held for us to hear the city talk, and that the decision was made, and there was no. They're going to do some conciliatory things for us with the idea that the trees are coming down. Well, that's not why we're here today. We don't care about those. Honestly, it's the options. It's the fact that the hypocrisy that Chapel Park has multiple large trees right next to the sidewalk, and they shaved it down, and that's acceptable for the city to do that, and it is not for us, and that just eats me.
And can I just add that this solution of cutting down the trees is not going to solve all the problems. They will be leaving the root systems in place. Like, the toothpaste is out of the tube on this one, because those roots will start to rot over time, which will compromise the integrity of the sidewalks. and the driveways. So either we are maintaining sidewalks because a tree is alive and the roots are growing, or we're maintaining a sidewalk because a tree is dead and the roots are rotting.
Well, we appreciate you two joining us. And we reached out to Layton City, invited them to join us on the show. Still an open phone line if they want to call in and make some comments on this, but we appreciate you taking the time because I don't think you're alone. I think this is a problem that a lot of cities are dealing with, especially as we get into these more mature neighborhoods with big, beautiful trees that are causing damage. You know, what's the best way to take care of it, and what's the responsibility? And if the residents are willing to help mitigate and take care of the sidewalk themselves, is that even an option? So, Randy, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Please keep in touch with us. Let us know how things go in your neighborhood. Appreciate your time and for you coming into studio today. This week, a Utah lawmaker on Capitol Hill unveiled legislation that would make Salt Lake City team up with the Department of Public Safety to tackle crime and homeless encampments in the city, or risk losing state funding. Well, just days after that legislation was unveiled, the Salt Lake City Chief of Police, Mike Brown, announced he's retiring. We'll have that Utah lawmaker on the show live with us next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
We have some exciting news for you guys. You've seen the Master Electrical vans driving around in your neighborhood for years. In fact, Master Electrical Service goes back to 1954, so generations of expertise. Well, now Master Electrical Services has joined Mountain Air to create Mountain Home Services.
And this is so awesome because it's one-stop shopping for you to get your electrical services taken care of. I mean, maybe you need some new lighting, maybe you need some new outlets, maybe you need some new light switches. They're your go-to. You need a new EV charger. They're your go-to. HVAC, heating and air, plumbing, and the list goes on.
And it all comes with your upfront pricing guarantee. So I think we've all been bitten by the bid bug, where they come out, they give you this incredible bid, and then when you actually get the invoice, you're like, that's not what you promised. Well, the upfront pricing guarantee with Mountain Home Services says whatever your bid is what you're going to pay.
Yep, that means no hidden fees, and you get that 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Make sure you reach out to them. Their website is mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
You can always call them. They'd love to talk to you. 801-543-2222, 801-543-2222.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Are you tired of the pain and discomfort caused by those bulky, ill-fitting dentures? Sick of feeling self-conscious when you eat with family and friends? It's time to take charge. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner, is here to give you your freedom back. Say goodbye to dentures and say hello to the All-on-X dental implant procedure. The permanent, life-changing fix that lets you chow down on your favorite foods without a care in the world and flash that confident smile once again. With cutting-edge technology, you can have a brand new permanent smile in as little as 24 hours. Yes, you heard right. Fast forward to finals and let your new smile steal the show. And here's the best part. Your consultation is absolutely free. At Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's #1 dental implant center, they've helped thousands of patients love their smiles again. You could be next. It only takes 60 seconds to start your journey to a happier, healthier smile at StubbsDental.com. That's StubbsDental.com.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top local story this hour: St. George and southern Utah could be the real winner of today's storm. The area is in desperate need of more water and hasn't had any measurable precipitation since before Thanksgiving.
In southern Utah, the largest storm of the season is expected to bring mostly rain in lower elevations. But this is great news for the region since they haven't seen any rain or snow in the last 77 days. In the southern mountains, total snow accumulation is expected to be between 10 and 20 inches, and up to 3 feet possible near Bryan Head, contributing heavily to snowpack levels, which right now are at 23% of what they should be. The National Weather Service has issued a winter storm warning to St. George area starting at 11 a.m. this morning and continuing through tomorrow. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Secretary of Education nominee Linda McMahon is being questioned right now in her confirmation hearing. She was asked if her goal is to shut down the department.
It is set up by the United States Congress, and we work with Congress. It clearly cannot be shut down without it.
She did say she plans to downsize the department and shift more of the responsibilities to the states. Salt Lake City is announcing plans to make improvements at Liberty Park. A cultural landscape report is being put together and will include what the city calls a new community vision. The plan is supposed to be ready to release by the end of next year. The park is 150 years old. Your money at this moment, all of the markets are up right now, including gold. Coming up, we're watching the snow move across the state. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served. Or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Need a perfect event venue? This is the place Heritage Park. Ideal for weddings and events featuring 11 venues, beautiful grounds, affordability for any celebration. This is the place heritagepark.org.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. The ramp from a westbound I-215 coming from Union Park to go southbound I-15 remains closed due to a semi-truck that tipped on that ramp. They hope to get it reopened within the next half hour, but we still see a lot of emergency vehicles on the ramp, so it may take a little longer than another half hour. Just be prepared to be diverted. Looking for the perfect suit for that special occasion? Mr. Mac has the best suit selection for any occasion, and get winter clearance pricing today. Visit their 9 convenient locations or MrMac.com. Any snow falling in the valleys should turn to rain as temperatures increase today, but higher elevations are expecting to get several feet of snow. Right now, it's 31 degrees and overcast in Salt Lake Valley. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, we got word here at KSL News Radio yesterday afternoon that the Salt Lake City Chief of Police, Mike Brown, he's been in the position for about a decade, is retiring at the end of this month. Well, also this week, a Utah lawmaker unveiled legislation that would essentially make Salt Lake City team up with the Department of Public Safety, which is a state agency. You know, you see their troopers, on I-15 and other areas. They would have to team up with DPS to tackle crime and homeless encampments in the city or risk losing state funding. And then just a couple of days later, we get the announcement that Chief Brown is retiring. We're going to speak in just a moment to that lawmaker who unveiled that legislation. He's going to be joining the show. We're going to ask him about this.
And I can't help but remember the letter that was sent back in December from the governor, the president of the Utah Senate, and the Speaker of the Utah House, that basically, as I was reading it, felt like a vote of no confidence in Salt Lake City Police Department. They had some very, very harsh criticisms that says that oftentimes you will have even felons are allowed to walk free within 45 minutes. And there are huge possibilities, huge investments going downtown right now. We've got $3 to $4 billion planned for a couple of blocks for the renovation of downtown, the Delta Center, some new areas.
Yeah, a couple blocks east of that, yeah.
Yeah, a couple blocks east of that. You've got a $3.5 billion proposal for a possible Major League Baseball stadium from the Miller family, a $350 million green loop in Salt Lake, the $100 million possibility at the ballpark when the Bees left. So you are looking at billions and billions of dollars of investment downtown, and I think it's reasonable to question, is there a safety issue? Because if there's a safety issue in Salt Lake City, these billions of dollars, it might subvert everyone's desire to come downtown if they don't feel safe.
Well, let's ask State Representative Casey Snyder, who's joining us live on the line. Let's just start there, Representative. Do you feel, or do lawmakers feel, that there is a safety issue in the downtown Salt Lake City area when it comes to public safety?
You know, guys, thanks for having me. And, I think this issue, all of us recognize it, has been going on for a long time. We've seen it. Obviously, we feel as a community that things have gotten maybe worse through the last several years. Obviously, I'm hearing even up in Cache County, where I'm from, concerns from constituents about traveling downtown. But one of the things I would say, to the credit of the mayor and the administration, is in response to the letter you all referenced here, that we gave the second week of December, they've come up with a plan, and they've outlined some points to hopefully make things better. And so, as the legislature, we're hopefully moving forward with a bill that will codify their plan with some input from DPS, and hopefully we turn the corner. Hopefully we finally make things better in Salt Lake. That's the goal.
What could DPS lend to Salt Lake City Police Department as far as resources or help?
These are experts in their field, right? They do public safety for a living. And we even have, within the confines of that, some real-world life experience in terms of Salt Lake City. So you referenced some of the investments the state's made downtown. Some of that investment included a provision where Highway Patrol was going to interject themselves to protect some of those state investments. The Power District, where the proposed ball stadium being a chief among them. And over the last several years, because of help from DPS, that area has seen a marked decrease in crime. And so as we move forward with an agreement with the city, hopefully we can spread those same successes, that same insight citywide. I'm really optimistic about how this can be used as a good partnership.
So help us paint a picture. You unveiled legislation, it sounds like it happened earlier this week on Utah's Capitol Hill, Representative Snyder, that proposed requiring Salt Lake City to get into an interagency agreement with the Utah Department of Public Safety, a state agency, to deal with homeless encampments, which, as you stated correctly, have been an issue for the decades that I've been a journalist here in the Salt Lake City area, and also crime, or the city could risk losing state funding. How much of a role do you think that played in, if at all, in the chief's retirement announcement yesterday?
I won't speculate on what's going on with the city. From my vantage point, I did not run the bill with any intention of having a conversation about who the chief officer is in Salt Lake City. If this bill rolled out, obviously, before his retirement, and had he stayed, this bill would have been implemented with him serving as the police chief there in Salt Lake City. So it's really not about one person, and I would say even this crime issue is not about one person. I do think there's some things that we need to do better. I do think that DPS being a part of that conversation will make things better. And so I'm really focused on, not rather than pointing blame, bringing people together and moving forward. Now, there are provisions in my bill that do require accountability. And you referenced some of the funding for early withdrawal of some of their homelessness mitigation funds, and then it could lead into changes with their BNC road funds if we get to that point. But it's really both of those punitive measures, if they could even be considered such, are items of last resort. And before you get to that point, there has to be a series of missteps and a series of disagreements as to what the future of the city could look like, and just a total lack of collaboration. So I don't want to ever get to those points. I see those provisions more about accountability than punishment, and so I'm hoping we never use any of those tools. But we got to start with an agreement, and that's the first part of the bill.
As I speak to law enforcement in Salt Lake Police Department, one of the biggest complaints is understaffing. They just don't feel like they have enough resources. Is this just a money issue, or is this a recruitment issue that's happening, or is it a leadership?
I think there's a whole host of things that have gone wrong here over the last while. I don't think any of this falls wholly on the administration of the city. I don't think it falls wholly on the police. I don't even think it falls wholly on the county that has a role in all of this. But my bill's really targeted at making sure we're holding people accountable, specific next steps in terms of mitigating this issue. And then as you look at the legislature moving forward, there's a series of other bills that are trying to get to some of this. We're stepping up penalties so that people who commit crimes are held accountable. We're trying to find more space in the jails in this region so that we have a place to put offenders. This is a holistic approach. I mean, this is what we're talking about right now, but I don't think this bill by itself could help solve the problem. It all has to be looked at holistically. This is one piece of that, and there's others coming through the legislature as well.
We're speaking live right now to Representative Casey Snyder. He's introduced legislation on Utah's Capitol Hill that would essentially require Salt Lake City to team up with the Department of Public Safety to tackle crime and homeless encampments or risk losing state funding if things aren't taken care of. I think there might be a lot of people who, and good for them, don't understand the inner workings of policing. They just want to pick up the phone. If they dial 911, they want a cop to be there. But I think there are also a lot of people who kind of understand how policing works in this valley. And I'm curious if you feel like, first of all, will that agreement go forward with DPS? Will that be signed, if you will, so that agreement happens, Representative? And then does that bring more police officers into Salt Lake City with a DPS or a trooper badge on their sleeve?
So, yeah, that really speaks to the reason why this bill has those, sticks, for lack of a better term. I would just say those provisions relative to accountability. If there isn't an agreement entered into, then the state steps in its own way and uses those city funds to mitigate the issue. At that point, if the city can't come up with an agreement, then the state will step in and they will use city resources to move forward. So I really think an agreement is a necessary part of this for both parties to move forward. But in terms of police capacity and staffing, this bill is really meant to be an administrative take. We're going to hopefully have individuals from DPS at the highest level of city policing that will be embedded within Salt Lake City Police in an advisory role, hopefully helping them make better decisions with the resources they need. The other thing that I think is really key on this bill is Salt Lake City and DPS are going to be coming back to the legislature during the summer interim, and they're going to be talking about what they found and what we can do better and how we move forward. And so if there are conversations that need to occur in other veins, well, whether it's resources or additional legislative provisions, we're going to be ready to have that conversation this year and roll that into the next legislative session.
So, and
all of this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm so
you
sorry.
Go ahead and finish.
This points to why I think this is necessary. That's all.
Okay. Well, Representative, I know your time is short, and we're out of time, but I do have to ask you: if this is not taken care of, if it is not mitigated to the liking of lawmakers, do you see a potential for the Department of Public Safety to come in and actually take over policing in the downtown area?
You know, there is no higher expectation, no higher responsibility for local government than public safety. This is a Salt Lake City issue. They need to fix this. We're trying to help in this bill. I don't want to be in their business, but I will tell you, as someone who lives in the northern part of this state, Salt Lake City is my capital city, and anyone that comes to my district or leaves my district comes through this city. Salt Lake City needs to be successful as it relates to crime so that the rest of this state can be successful in terms of economics. That's where we're headed. I'm really optimistic about the future. I think we're headed in the right direction. I don't want to contemplate any sort of negative scenario, including a takeover. Let's just fix the problem now and move forward.
Representative Casey Snyder, thank you for joining us.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done, or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, there's a new report. About a third of Americans have more credit card debt than they have in their emergency savings, Dave.
Can't say I'm surprised. It is so much easier to rack up debt than it is to rack up savings.
Yeah. I think people look at this kind of with rose-colored glasses. It's like, oh, I've got $1,000 in savings, which is a great accomplishment. I'm not. But then you are putting $2,000 a month on your credit card. I think you have to look at the picture from a holistic point of view, and that is, how much debt do you have altogether? And I include my housing debt with that as well. Like if there's a mortgage payment, if there's a rent payment that's due, and then what does my emergency savings look like? Because if something were to happen, like you lose your job, and a lot of people are reporting that they're losing their jobs right now, are you going to have enough to cover those bills? And just keeping the cycle going with using your credit cards, it's not going to get you there.
Maybe this is just a personal thing, but I separate debt into two categories. I have what I consider good debt, and I have bad debt. Good debt is my mortgage, right? I mean, that is technically debt, but that's reasonable. Even a car payment, I think you can look at as being good debt. Or not necessarily good, but like that's reasonable debt. It's almost impossible for me to justify credit card debt. That is so punitive. It's so expensive. That's the kind of debt that I look at, and that's where all my focus goes toward.
Well, what covers your good debt if you lose your job?
Yeah, it's all pricey. Yeah.
That's why I said I lump it all together. But let's get the take from Greg McBride with Bankrate. Thanks so much for joining us, Greg.
Good, great to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
You know, this Bankrate survey says I think it's 53% have more emergency savings than credit card debt, which is great. But 33% of Americans have more credit card debt than emergency savings, which is shocking.
Yeah, and it's up notably from where it had been for more than a decade. As inflation picked up, credit card balances picked up, and so too did the percentage of households who have credit card debt that exceeds what their emergency savings is. Credit cards often filling that gap where the income ends and the expenses keep going. So we've seen more people carrying larger balances for longer periods of time, and you see that reflected in the statistics.
Greg, what do you make of my philosophy of good debt, bad debt, or am I just being a great justifier?
No, I took the words right out of my mouth. I think the only one I'd maybe differ a little bit on, or maybe just there's some nuances on the car loan. Buying that first car that's going to get you to work, that that provides the paycheck, that's justifiable. But I think the end game you want to get to is life without car payments. And so I think that's what might be initially productive debt could mushroom into bad debt 2, 3, 4 cars down the road whenever you're driving something that's a lot more expensive, has a much bigger payment, and you don't have much equity in it. I think that's where it becomes problematic. If you get off that treadmill of car payments, you pay it off, you drive it for several years without car payments, building up your savings, building up the amount you could pay to put down on the next one, then you're working to break that cycle. I think that's the more productive path on that.
We're talking to Greg McBride of Bankrate right now. A new report shows that a third of Americans have more credit card debt than emergency savings. And here's the age-old debate. It's the chicken or the egg debate. Should we save first or pay off debt first, in your view, Greg?
It's not either or. You can and should attack both of those at the same time. And the way to do that is set up the direct deposit from your paycheck
into a dedicated savings account. Successful saving is all about the habit. That establishes the habit. That way the savings, it happens before you even roll out of bed on payday morning. Then you can really focus your efforts on paying down that high-cost credit card debt. Do things like grab those 0% balance transfer offers, cut some expenses, maybe do a side hustle to pull in some additional income to put against that debt, put some tailwinds behind you on the journey to debt repayment.
Greg McBride, thank you so much for joining us from Bake Rate. Always so good.
I love this. I love every time somebody says, do the side, presents the side hustle option, because that's what I did to get out of debt. And it just worked so awesome because I worked at that job for 3 months. Yes, I was exhausted. I hated myself at 3 o'clock in the morning when the alarm went off for getting myself into debt in the first place. But boy, I got myself out of debt so quick that way. It felt good. And then I never went back because I remember how exhausting it was getting up at that time of the day to work that extra job.
And not every side hustle is bright and early like that.
Exactly.
You can find those that are maybe in the afternoon. I was thinking about serving. Like you could maybe pick up a few shifts as a server. That's always a good time. You can do it after,
Do they train you on the job? I've never done that.
Yeah.
I would love to do it, though.
Yeah, you can go in there with no experience. They'll train you up.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe a little server.
That's right. You better tip big. You
big tipper.
Better tip big if I'm serving at your table. I love that option, Dave. Let's talk about free school lunch and breakfast for all. It's a debate on the Capitol Hill. There's a number of proposals on Utah's Capitol Hill that are being debated today. Dave and I are biting off this one straight ahead.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Salt Lake City Fat Loss is the communication. When I joined the program, there's a 60-day reduction phase. That's where you're going to lose the vast majority of your weight. It's in those first 60 days. And every single day with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, they would send me a video, a message of, hey, Dave, this is why you're doing it. This is why you want to stay motivated. And then here's another little element to it. I paid for it, just like you guys do. I paid, full price. And I think the importance of paying for the program is it keeps you honest. It's what I noticed myself. There's no way I was going to pay for it and then just cheat every day that I had a hankering for a cheeseburger. But with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, you will see huge reductions. You can lose up to a pound of fat per day. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. So if you're interested, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program right now in February. They got a great deal going off, $200 off in February. Go ahead and reach out, schedule a free consultation at slcfatloss.com.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahns Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit Tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at Tuacahn.org.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home. Your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter. And this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials Showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. AMCKitchenSLC.org.
Your little one deserves a big welcome. From before the baby bump to baby in your arms, Common Spirit Health OBGYN physicians and certified nurse midwives are here for the labor, the love, and every moment in between. We specialize in prenatal, pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum care to help you navigate this journey with confidence and joy. So when the big moment arrives, you can welcome baby with the warmest hello of all. Hello, human kindness. Mountain.commonspirit.org.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The Senate has voted to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of Health and Human Services.
The vote to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was nearly along party lines. For the third time now, Kentucky Republican Mitch McConnell joined with Democrats to oppose one of President Trump's second-term appointments. McConnell, who turns 83 next week, survived polio in his youth and has expressed grave concerns about RFK Jr.'s views on vaccines. As the full Senate was voting on Kennedy's nomination, the Judiciary Committee voted along party lines to favorably report on Kash Patel's bid to be FBI director.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Inflation has been on the rise for several months now, and Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver says he expects it to keep rising if President Trump follows through with his tariff threats against various countries.
So there's so much uncertainty, and the president has alluded to this. He said there may be some short-term pain to get the gains of putting these tariffs in place and ultimately onshore more production here in manufacturing, but that's going to take years.
Silver says the Federal Reserve is in no hurry to lower interest rates until the inflation rate dips again. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 72 points, the S&P is up 25. And coming up, snow showers over the next few days. KSL Weather's next KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and over the years, you've heard me praise the Connecticut soft water systems. You've heard that so often, you might be tempted to chuck a shoe at your radio. Well, hang on, because I've got some great news. Get this, Connecticut will pay you $50. I'm not kidding on this. They'll pay you $50 to buy a competing water softener from another dealer. Ready for the rules, though? Well, they're pretty simple. Invite Connecticut of Utah to your home for a free estimate on a Connecticut water softener. If within 60 days of hearing them out, you buy any other system from any other water softener dealer, Connecticut of Utah will fork over $50. That's how sure they are that after hearing them out, you won't settle for anything less than a Connecticut water softener. Now, this offer does expire in 30 days, so don't delay. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug sent you.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune, and guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's RV Better Than Show pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork. You'll get free admission, free parking, and Better Than Show pricing on our entire inventory at both locations. Not just a few models we hauled to the show. Find pricing starting as low as $139 per month on approved credit and make 0 payments until May OAC. Plus, every remaining new 2024 on the lot is on clearance. And Bish's is the only place to shop the exclusive full lineup of Wayfinder RVs. Start shopping the best deals now at skipthervshow.com. Get free admission to the Better Than Show pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin. OAC based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number is 84832, 84308. Subject to prior sale. See delivery details. Deal number 822B426B.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, Draper drivers are going to see delays approaching the intersection of 114th South and State Street in all directions. Our own Ricky Meese let us know that crews are replacing the traffic light at that intersection. And if you're trying to go west on 114th South between State Street and I-15, you cannot. They've blocked that off completely. So you're going to have to use State Street to head north up to 106th or go south to 126th South to get onto the freeway. And then we still have the closure of the connecting ramp from westbound I-215 coming from Union Park to head southbound I-15. That is due to a semi-truck that tipped over on that collector ramp. They're hoping to get it cleaned up soon, but right now you're going to have to be diverted in that area as well. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A days-long storm develops this afternoon, sending rain and snow showers across the state. Scattered rain expected tomorrow with a high of 46. Right now it is 31 and cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Boy, we sure had a robust conversation about free school lunch and breakfast for all in public schools in our 9 o'clock hour. And this go around, we're not only going to talk about it once again and lay out our opinions on it, but we're also going to have a lawmaker in just a few minutes join the show who's pitching this plan.
And I don't know how to have this conversation without it sounding like Dave Noriega wants kids to starve, right? I mean, this is not the case. I don't want a bunch of hungry kids, starving kids in Utah. I don't want that. I'm trying to figure out what is the best long-term solution for making sure that kids that don't have access to regular meals get them. And I do question whether or not the best way to feed kids is through the school lunch and breakfast system.
Well, okay, I'm going to have to ask you, like, what do you think is a better solution? Because, a lot of kids go to public school. But let me walk through the legislation first so we're all on the same page with this. And then in just a few minutes, Senator Luz Escamilla is going to call the show because she is the one that is spearheading this legislation up on Utah's Capitol Hill. So as it reads right now, and she may say there's changes to it. We don't know. We'll have to stay tuned for that. It would provide free meals to all kindergartners through, their senior year in high school in Utah public schools. families would automatically be enrolled in this program. However, if you are against it, maybe you say, I don't want this for my kids. I'm going to send them with school lunch every day. I did. I packed their lunches every single day. There were a lot of reasons for that. One was we sent them to private school. It was $3.50 a day per child. So I was looking at $11 a day to feed. So we packed our lunches. You could opt out of this program if it passes, and that's a big if. So you could opt out if you don't agree with that. If you're the line in the sand is my children will pay for their school lunch and breakfast every day. You could opt out of it. The fiscal note at last check, which means the price to taxpayers, would be $160 million. That's ongoing. Okay, that's not a one-time cost. That is $160 million. We will ask the senator about that. Dave, you've said, and I agree with you, it's hard to talk about this and take a side on this and then when you take the side of, it's hard to sound like you're not the Grinch.
Yeah.
But I will say this, over the years that you and I have done the show together, I thought your opinion about feeding kids at school had changed. But then today you came out and said, it changed in a way that said, you know what, we have them for 7 hours a day at school. We might as well just feed them lunch so they're not hungry. But then today you came out and said, now you think the food pantry is maybe a better way to deal with kids who are hungry. Like their parents go to a food pantry, or somehow we find a way to get the food to the parents and the kids. So let's just maybe just kind of clarify that for me.
Okay, so I have changed a little bit on this. I used to think, listen, you're responsible for feeding your kids. That's bare minimum parenting, is feeding your kids, right? So I don't want to totally abandon that, because the responsibility to feed your children is the parent's responsibility. Now, there are things that happen, and there's food insecurity. I get that. So how often should kids be eating? 3 meals a day, right? That's not unreasonable. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the kids are being fed. Are the schools responsible to feed them and make sure they have full bellies, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No, I don't think they are. That's not their specialty. Who do I want teaching my kids math? The schools. Who do I want them teaching history? The schools. Who do I want feeding the kids? The parents. And if the parents can't do it, then we need to address the underlying issue. And what's the underlying solution? Now, how much was the price tag on this bill?
$160 million.
Okay, $160 million. And that will give kids breakfast and lunch. I'm looking at the Utah Food Bank right now. And they say for every dollar that you contribute to the Utah Food Bank, they turn that into $7.80 in goods and services. So you could take $160 million. Let's just say all these numbers are true. You take the $160 million, you give it to the Utah Food Bank. They're able to optimize that dollar with relationships and bulk purchases. They turn that $160 million into $1.25 billion in goods and services.
Do you disagree that schools are doing the same, buying in bulk? The same thing that a Utah Food Bank could do? You think it's they're not turning?
They're not taking every dollar and turning it into almost $8 worth of goods and services, because that's not what they do. The nonprofits, the Utah Food Bank, they have relationships where they get unbelievable deals, right? The school lunch doesn't have that same level of expertise, because why would they? Why should they? That is not what they do. They teach our kids. So I just want to make sure that if we're going to invest and we have a concern about feeding kids and making sure kids have food, then let's give it to the experts, the people that do the best at feeding kids. And I can't help but look, if this is true, if the Utah Food Bank really can turn $1 into $8, then are we funding the right place?
You know, I think Holly Richardson of Utah Policy, who covers Capitol Hill and has joined the show throughout this session, brought up another angle to this that I think we have to talk about.
You have to also consider if they're coming from a household that's food insecure, perhaps these kids may not have parents who are home when they go to school. Those parents might be working. They may have a one-parent household who has an all-night job or something. So this just would impact everybody in the state. The bill also would give parents the right to, of course, pay for the meals if they want to for their kids and to opt their kids out of this program if they choose to.
Yeah, so that we've talked about that. There's an opt-out option. If you're like, I absolutely disagree with this. I don't want my kids. I'll pack my kids' lunch because we can afford to. We'll pay for it because we can afford to. That's an option. But I think you're trying to create a one-size-fits-all, Dave, with the food pantry option. And it just isn't going to work for everybody. And I think it's probably good because we don't have a system set up like that. And we talked to one of our callers, one of our listeners earlier. His name is Doug. And he talked about how when he was a child growing up, and said he was for this legislation because he grew up in a home, one-parent home. It was his dad. Dad worked a ton, and he said he was hungry a lot. And he said we were food insecure. And I was thinking about Doug, I've never known hunger like that. I've never known hunger like that. I can't imagine what that would be like, not knowing where your next meal is coming from, walking to school. I walk to school every day, a mile and a half or so, and being starving by the time you left the house and not knowing it and realizing you get to school and you're going to be starving all day. And then additionally, we pour a lot of funds into school to help kids learn. I can't talk straight when I'm hungry, and rarely am I that hungry. But I can't think straight. I feel it on the show when I'm getting hungry. I got to run out and shove half a banana in my mouth, or whatever, 2 slices of string cheese and a protein shake, and I do that frequently. Why? Because I've never known hunger like that. I have it at my ready. And if I don't have it ready, I know right where to get it. And I get in my car and I drive down So I don't know Doug's situation, but I feel for Doug. And I feel for those children who are kindergartners, 5 years old, for first graders, third graders, high schoolers who are too embarrassed to say anything because they've already gotten bullied at school. I don't know what the perfect solution is, but Doug's dad couldn't drive them to a food pantry because he was working all the time. And I said, if you got in a car and you drove to that food pantry, how long would it take you to get there? An hour. Well, do you have enough gas money to get there and back? So I feel in a big way because in a lot of ways because I've never walked in their shoes, and I just don't want kids going to school hungry. I'm a parent. I sent my 3 kids just through public school, largely some private school. But mainly public school. They graduated from all 3 of them graduated from Brighton High School. All 3 of them went to Butler Middle School in Conwood Heights. Eastwood Elementary up off of Wasatch Boulevard. We were part of the public school system, and by gosh, if there was a child in that class who's starving, I would want my kids to give them their meal. So why are we not wanting to spend money to make sure all of our children are fed in this state? Just to make sure. And if you're financially stable and you can afford it, you can opt out. Don't have to, you can opt out. But automatically enrolling a child in a program where they get fed 2 meals a day, to me, sounds charitable, and it's something that I would be happy to show up with food from my own kitchen. And in fact, I was always happy to feed all the neighborhood kids. So I guess I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. They can go to a food pantry. And I understand you've got a take that a lot of people feel. They feel that way. I just come down on a much different side on this than you.
I just want to know, what is the best way to feed kids? Because even at school, let's just say we were feeding them breakfast and lunch every single day. That takes care of 180 days out of the school year. There's 365 days in a year. What happens 3 months over the summer when everybody is off? What happens on the weekends? What happens for dinner? Like, what is our responsibility from a school system to feed our children? Again, I don't want this take to be misconstrued as Dave wants kids to be starving. I just want to know, if there is a problem, if parents are having trouble feeding their children, is the best solution to send them to school and have schools prepare weekend kits, which many schools do.
Right.
They prepare food to give to kids that they can take home on the weekend. And just because parents are busy and struggling does not mean they can abdicate their responsibility to provide for their children the basic necessities of food. And it may not be super convenient, and it may not be the easiest thing in the world. It does not mean parents can't figure out or don't have a responsibility to figure out a way to feed their children. And if they can't do it, then we need to address that issue. And that's where I think it's a very, very sensitive subject. And I'm very appreciative of people that have called into our show and talked about how grateful they were for school lunches and school breakfast. Is there a better way? Because if there's a better way, then let's do that. Instead of keep piling onto our schools responsibility after responsibility after responsibility.
I want to bring on a former school teacher, retired from a junior high, Robin. We're waiting for the Senator Luz Escamilla to call in, but we certainly want to hear from you. What did you see in the classrooms when you were teaching when it came to children and food?
Well, the kids who don't have breakfast, like you said, can't think and can't learn. And there's no convenience for a food pantry when the kids are getting up in the morning and mom and dad, or just mom or just dad, have 2 part-time jobs and are gone and they need food. It's just my wife and I both taught in the inner city school, and having the breakfast and lunch made all the difference for something like 2/3 of our students.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to call us, Robin. A retired junior high school teacher has said that she has experienced it, where kids are coming to school, they're hungry, and they can't learn.
And earlier in the show, we heard from Alicia. She's also a caller, a listener of the show. She said she disagrees with this plan. And
I
here's what she
believe that
said.
this is the parents' responsibility to take care of their children in all aspects, and by removing that responsibility from parents, it exacerbates the problem that parents wash their hands of taking care of their own children. So I think that this needs to be in the parents' hands. I agree with food banks as long as they're not funded by the government. This should absolutely not be in the schools and not be paid for by taxes.
And the number that I can't help but just stare at is right here on the Utah Food Bank. It says every dollar that you contribute, you can bring a can of soup. You can bring a pack of ramen to the Utah Food Bank, and they're grateful for that. But their pitch is, hey, if you give us a cash donation, we can take $1 and turn it into $7.80 in goods and services for Utahns facing hunger. And that is a staggering amount. You and I can't do that. We can't go to the store and spend $1 and get $8 worth of goods. It's the expertise, it's the relationships that the Utah Food Bank has, because they work with many grocers and many times on a national level, where they can get incredible quantities of food for a very reasonable amount. And my question is, if we're going to invest in feeding kids, what's the best way to do that? Would it be to invest in something like the Utah Food Bank? If we turn that $160 million that it would take to run the breakfast and lunch program, and we donated that, let's say, to the Utah Food Bank, they would get $1.2 billion worth of goods and services in that same amount of money, because they can optimize it. So if we truly are interested in feeding kids and making sure kids aren't hungry, and being able to acknowledge that there are some hungry kids out there, what's the best way to do it? Well, that seems like a really good way to do it.
Yeah. We're trying to reach out to the senator. It's a busy day on Capitol Hill, and apparently having a difficult time in our control room connecting with Senator Escamilla. She's on the line. We got you. Oh my gosh! Thanks so much for joining us. We've been talking about this legislation to feed kids breakfast and lunch in schools. Why are you making this pitch right now, Senator?
Well, thank you for the time. It's really a policy decision that no child, doesn't matter the background of the student or the parents, ability to pay or not pay, should not be questioning their ability to access a meal in their educational journey under our supervision, right? So we want to make sure that our kids are learning, and we know that when they're hungry, it just makes it really hard. And that's what the bill does. It's a big ask, as you can see, but it's an opt-out bill. So if parents want to pay for it, they can opt out. If they don't want their children to get a free meal or a free breakfast or lunch, they can opt out. And then we also are drawing down all the federal funds. Right now we're getting about $320 million a year of federal funds. And then we put about $50 million that comes from the sales of alcohol. But we're still missing a lot of children. So we want to say every child K-12 in our public education system, we will need an extra $160 million. But that bill is not counting that some parents will pay and some will opt out. So, it's a big ask, but it's an important piece of legislation to make sure our children are never having to question where their meal will come during the day.
Senator Escamilla, thank you for taking just a few moments to join us on the show and give us your ideas for this new program. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll continue to track that legislation today and throughout the rest of the session right here at KSL News Radio with our team of reporters and producers. We didn't get a chance to ask the senator if that legislation has been put on pause, but when we were talking to legislative reporter for Utah Policy, Holly Richardson, earlier in the show today, she said it looked like it had been put on pause, but again, anything can happen on Capitol Hill, and it happens just like that. So we'll keep track of that. Straight ahead, the I-Team from KSL 5 in-house to tell you how you can save money by keeping your old phone and just making or your current phone and just making a few repairs to it. Okay, we're going to go right on the money with the KSL 5 investigative team next.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
It's the Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. If the cold is seeping in through your old windows, Advanced Window Products will install state-of-the-art double-pane windows with insulated frames. Your home will take on an exciting new look, and you're going to save on your heating bill. And not for nothing, your air conditioning in summer, and right now with the President's Day sale, you save $2,500 off 10 windows or more. For 38 years, Advanced Windows has been building beautiful custom windows and frames right here in Utah. There's no middleman, so you save. So keep out the cold, cut down your energy bills, and save $2,500 with one call to Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100. An expert comes out for a no-pressure consultation. They'll tell you about the payment plans, including no payments for 24 months. The Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. Get $2,500 off. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or just go to advancedwindows.com.
I'm Rod with the Save Right team at Realty Path. I also own Save Right Mortgage. When building this new and disruptive business model, my attorney said, quote, "You'll rock the boat and make your competitors mad. There's no way they can compete with the value Save Right offers home buyers." She's right. Other real estate agents and mortgage lenders can't compete with Save Right. However, Utah home buyers love Save Right. Save Right homebuyers get bankbuster loans with below market interest rates. Save Right clients buy bigger, nicer homes. Their monthly payments are hundreds less. Bankbuster loans save homebuyers hundreds of thousands in interest. Start with a rate in the twos. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com. Start with a rate in the twos. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Give me
my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be... Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
At the UPS store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS store. Be unstoppable.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Under a new bill, police would have the power to take the car of anyone they find driving without a license. West Valley City Sergeant Tyler Longman introduced the bill, saying officers are put in a tough spot when issuing citations to these drivers.
The citation, we give it to them, and then we tell them not to drive, and then they drive away.
To get the vehicle back, a person who does have a license needs to be present to drive the car out of the lot. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Russian leaders say they're ready to schedule a meeting between Putin and President Trump.
We've heard from the Kremlin today. They've described it as a very important call. They say that they are already forming a group of negotiators to negotiate directly with the United States. And that also is something that will concern Ukraine, because throughout, one of the key focuses of Ukraine and most of its Western allies, until recently including the United States, has been to make sure that Putin does not try to negotiate over the head of the Ukrainians and basically force a deal on them that is unacceptable to the Ukrainians who've been fighting for 3 years. And now the fear is that that could happen.
ABC's Patrick Revel reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 134 points. The S&P is up 28. And coming up, warmer temperatures through the storm. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hey, let me tell you, when it comes to garage doors, if you have an issue, do you know who to call? Well, let me tell you about Advanced Garage Doors.
Yeah, they've got this lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts. So you'll have the peace of mind knowing that your garage door is always protected as long as you follow the recommendations of Advanced Garage Doors.
Any garage door or motor that is installed by Advanced Garage Doors, it includes a free inspection and tune-up once a year. So they're going to come out to your house. They're going to check the rollers, make sure there isn't some weird buildup on it, that they're running smoothly, that it's balanced, that your spring is in good shape.
There's also financing available, which is great. So you can ask them about that, see if that works for you. And you can also design your dream garage door right on their website. And, you know, I've seen new garage doors go on, and it can truly transform the front of your home.
I just painted my garage door one year, and it totally transformed my house. If I actually had a really nice, beautifully designed garage door, yeah, that would be incredible. So if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to Advanced Garage Door. Their website is advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Or you can call them, 801-989-3667. That number again, 801-989-DOOR.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
Again, we want to remind drivers in Murray, a rolled semi has the ramp closed from westbound I-215 southbound to go southbound on I-15. This is at the South Interchange. It's still going to be closed for a little bit, and if you're traveling in the Sandy Draper area, we have utility crews out in force, and they are blocking traffic at State Street and 114th South. No westbound traffic can get through to I-15. You'll have to go up to the mall by 106 South or down to 123rd South if you need to access the freeway. Otherwise, expect traffic control in place at that intersection. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account, plus continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Showers begin this afternoon. We'll see highs in the lower 40s. The rain continues to tomorrow with a high of 46. Right now it is 36 and cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Before you run out and buy a $1,000 smartphone, you got to hear what the KSL5 investigative team did. They went to a phone repair shop, Dave, and they found that you can save yourself hundreds of dollars when your phone, has issues by just making some repairs.
Can you imagine if we treated anything else in our life like we do our phone? Like, as soon as it starts acting up, it's like, throw this $1,000 away. We're going to go buy a new one. Like, every time your car needed a repair, you're like, you know what? Instead of replacing the muffler, I'm going to just buy a new car. It is crazy town. Like, I cannot believe we do this. And I'm totally guilty, right? I mean, we've all done this, like, I just think I need a new phone. I want an upgrade. But Sloan Schrag joins us right now from the KSL investigative team. And Sloan, like I said, we do this so easily. We just think, I probably needed a new phone anyway. Walk us through how much money we can save and when should I actually, this is a two-part question, when should I actually throw my phone away?
Well, most of us, we hang on to our phones like 2 or 3 years. That's when we start to replace them, whether they needed it or not.
Yeah.
But if you just take it in the repair shop, like your phone doesn't last through lunchtime. It starts to die, really quickly in the day, or it lags, doesn't run near as fast. Take it to a repair shop. You can get parts for it, like a microphone on your phone. If the other party can't hear you very well, but your phone is working, the connection's great. Well, maybe you can just replace the microphone for $80 to $100.
Okay, time out. My oldest daughter had a microphone issue with her phone. This is a couple of years ago, and so she was talking to us like she'd have to use her headset or whatever, her AirPods, when she made a phone call to us. And I'd have to fact check myself on this. I think she went and maybe traded it in for upgraded for a different phone, and it's like, I probably should have said take it to the cell phone repair shop. Maybe she did. Maybe there was a big problem.
She bought a new phone instead.
I think she did.
The $1,000 solution to a $100 problem.
Yeah. Edwin, the owner of Urban Cell Repair, told us that basically most of the phones can last about 5 years, if you do the repair stuff. And a lot of the repairs that they can see through, we're talking about battery replacement, microphones, speakers, stuff like that will cost about $100.
Cracked screens?
Cracked screens can cost a little bit more depending on your phone and your model. I've seen some go as high as $500, but some will go about as low as $200. But it still may be worth to replace a cracked screen, because I think like half of us will replace the phone because it has a cracked screen. But you can replace that screen and maybe save a couple $100 or maybe even $500, just depending on your phone and on the model.
Did you get the sense that the cell phone repair shop owner felt like we just too easily ditch our phones for a new one instead of bringing it in for a repair?
Absolutely. It was a waste in his eyes that people just keep throwing away their phones every 2 or 3 years when they don't need to. They can keep the same one going as long as you're getting software updates still. The manufacturer will provide you updates for security and operating system. And sometimes if the repair job is more than the value of the phone, then certainly, you want to move on to a new phone.
Yeah.
Now, I've never experienced this because I've never had the oldest phone in the family. I always make sure the 14-year-old has the oldest phone in the family, but he actually ran into that where he was no longer getting updates. It just was too old. They couldn't update it. He says at that point, once the manufacturer is no longer giving updates for that model, then that's a good indication maybe you need an upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. Your phone, the processor probably won't keep up with the new software that rolls out, whether it's the device's software or games or stuff in the App Store. You'll probably won't be able to keep up if it gets to be that old and it's not getting software updates. The other thing is security. There's a lot of security updates that come in that software, and you'll be missing out on those, and that could leave you vulnerable to hacking and malware and that sort of thing.
So I'm a self-admitted klutz. As you know, Sloan, we worked together for years. You know how I trip and fall and have all issues. But I walk out into the newsroom after one of our shows one day, and now my desk is way far away from your desk, which I'm sad about, but you're probably like, woohoo, she's no longer sitting next to me. We no longer have to share desk space. But I walk over there, and I am writing something on the big board we have out there, like taking notes or something for the next day, and I get a phone call from somebody. So I pick up the phone and put it to my ear, and then the minute I did that, it was a brand new phone, practically a couple months old. It slips out of my hand, and it just tumbles right in slow motion. And Sloan and I tried to catch it, and it just kept fumbling out of my hands. But it ultimately, I felt like I broke its fall, and it hits carpet, and then it totally goes dead. There's nothing. Do you remember this, Dave?
Yep.
And
It was a new phone.
And I kept trying to turn this thing on, and I think I handed it off to you because I'm like, you're more techie than I am. Figure this out. It would not turn back on. So my question is, when you went to the cell phone repair shop, and you may or may not know this, am I just out of luck on something like that? I mean, it just would not turn back on. Or should I have taken it to a cell phone repair shop? By the way, I still have that in the junk drawer at home, that phone. So I could still do that. But what do you think?
I mean, I think it might be worth taking to the repair shop to see if they can diagnose it. Now, in some cases, if your phone doesn't come back on, it
did not come back on.
Yeah.
It dropped on carpet. I was like, oh, thank goodness it's not tile. Well, that didn't seem to help. But you think maybe taking it over there, because it's still, I don't know what was it, an iPhone probably 11 or something like that? It's not too old.
But sometimes, and this is a little bit to your point as you were talking to your repair guy, sometimes if you do drop it, it will disconnect the power source, but all it needs is a little soldering, where maybe you reconnect it, so it is quite an easy fix. They have to open it up.
You can't do that for me? It sounds
that
like
one
you
I
know
can't
what you're
do.
doing.
No,
I have a roll of duct tape. Maybe we can
here we go.
put it in use
Here's
there.
a lot of electrical tape on this. It'll look great.
How much money do you think? By the way, we're speaking to Sloan Schrag. He's investigative producer for Matt Gephardt, and this story is posted at ksltv.com. It's entitled, "Don't Replace Your Phone When Repair Can Save You Hundreds of Dollars." So that leads me to that question. How much do you think we could save if we repaired our phones instead and kept them for 5 years instead of replacing them?
Well, Edwin was telling us, the owner of the Urban Cell Repair was telling us that basically a repair is about 10% of the value of a new phone, basically, for most phones. So, you can spend $100, $200 on a repair work, and that would save you $800 to $900 on a new phone that you would
And
replace.
you know what? I think what we don't recognize or realize the cost of the phone because it's baked into our monthly bill.
That's
right?
true.
A lot of times we're paying for the phone not up front. We're paying for it over time. So our bill is a little bit higher, but it's like we don't really notice it after a while. But I like this idea of looking for ways to repair it instead of adding to the cost of our monthly bill, because a lot of times when you go to get a new phone, that old phone isn't paid off yet.
That's right. And if you're still paying for a phone, it may still have a warranty on it. So it's always you should always check to make sure it has a warranty first, because you can avoid a warranty if you take it to a third-party repair shop. But if the battery's dying all the time, and the phone doesn't make it through the day, then it's probably a good chance you're already out of the warranty period.
I'm looking at the Apple Store right now. I was just curious. We keep saying it's $1,000, and like, boy, that sounds like a lot. I looked at the most expensive phone they have. So this is the iPhone 16 Pro Max with a terabyte of storage. It is $1,600. $1,600.
That's why I don't own one.
Woo!
Yeah. Sloan, good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you. It's always fun to have you and Matt in studio. Thanks so much. And come back next time you've got a good tip to save us money, because we all need to figure out ways to save money. And we're saving money on this. We can put more money into our emergency fund and save more money in our budget. So Sloan Schrag, The Investigative. You can find out more at ksltv.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Celebrating its 70th anniversary, Webb started as a family business and has since become a 100% employee-owned company, offering a variety of event services to make planning and hosting events easier and more enjoyable. CEO Melanie Robinson joins us with more.
At Webb, we have over 7 decades of experience creating events that bring people and ideas together. Having worked with many of Utah's largest companies on annual events, sales kickoffs, company gatherings, unique holiday parties, and more, we know how to make each experience unforgettable. Whether it's live production, virtual, or hybrid events, we handle every detail to ensure everything runs smoothly. From audio-visual solutions and creative stage designs to full-scale event management, we customize everything to meet your specific needs and goals. What sets us apart is our team. They're passionate professionals with decades of expertise in event production and design. We bring creativity, precision, and dedication to every project, turning your vision into reality. Events can feel overwhelming, but we simplify the process so you can focus on connecting with your audience. Visit weareweb.com to learn more about how we can help elevate your next event.
Webb's dedication to creating seamless, impactful events speaks for itself. Their attention to detail and ability to adapt to any project truly highlight how they prioritize the success of every event. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Okay, it looks like we are in for a pretty big storm in the next, over the next 48 hours. Where I'm a little confused is I don't know exactly like where it's going to hit. I've heard maybe in the Wasatch Back, but there's other areas of the state that it's going to hit pretty hard. So that'd be a good time to bring on Alex Desmet. He's with the National Weather Service. We're going to talk to him in just a few minutes about what you can expect out of this winter storm. We haven't had a lot of winter storms. I know yesterday was a little dicey for me to drive in from the south end of the valley. It was icy. I took my time. I crawled down Redwood Road instead of trying to jump on I-15. I wondered if that was a mistake because that was a little icy. But it's interesting, Dave, because so often I come here, I come crawling in, going, oh my, ice everywhere. And you're like, oh, smooth sailing from Davis County. What's your problem?
It was easy. Yeah. I'll tell you, I need a chiropractor right now because I'm just whiplash on a whole nother level because we're going from 18 degrees to 63 degrees, and I'm out there playing golf, and now this spring, like this January, February, as we're leading into spring, has been so wild. All right, let's see. It's about time for a big snowstorm. Alex Desmet joins us right now from the National Weather Service. Is it look like Snowmageddon, or is this just going to be a little something for us?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it really depends on where you are. So we're seeing snow beginning across western and southern portions of the Salt Lake Valley here late this morning. And we're also seeing some snow along I-80 out to Wendover. And then also going south, Nephi is reporting moderate snow as well. But going north from Salt Lake, snow is yet to begin. It will begin here over the next hour or so. So the evening commute will be impacted from Salt Lake all the way down into central Utah, west to Nevada, and north to Idaho as well. But to answer your Snowmageddon question, the heaviest snow will be in the mountains, and the snow will be heavy, especially this evening and overnight. Down around Bryan Head, 2 to 3 inches of snow piling up each hour. And then also Sundance, Provo Canyon, same thing, late this afternoon and overnight. And then Alta and the Upper Cottonwoods, they'll get in on the action as well tonight and through all the way into Saturday as well with the periods of heavy snow.
Well, and Dave and I just realized that we're heading into a holiday weekend. A lot of people will be off on Monday for President's Day, so I wonder how many people will be out traveling around. Are you? I know you're not our traffic expert, Alex, but as you're looking at the pattern that's blowing in, do you think I-15 will be heavily impacted for south and northbound travel?
We do think so through this evening, but the good news is for valley travel that temperatures will be warming up overnight. So for most of the valleys, snow will be mixing with and eventually changing over to rain tonight into Friday. The only exception might be up along Interstate 84 as you go towards Idaho. That'll stay snow for longer. But for the I-15 and I-80 corridors, in the valleys, snow will be changing over to rain tonight. So the biggest impacts in the valleys will be through this evening. And we'll have to dust off those snow and winter driving tips, right? We haven't had to use them very much this winter. So reduce your speeds. That's the number one thing out there to avoid any issues.
Alex, can you even give us an idea of how we're doing so far this year? Are we way behind? Because it feels, just because we haven't had a lot of snow in the valley, that we must be way behind when it comes to snowpack.
We're doing okay in the northern mountains. We're at or just a bit below normal. So the northern mountains are looking good. It's those southern mountains where we are way behind. And in fact, for some of those southern Utah water basins, they're record low snowpack for the time of year. Here in Salt Lake, it's our second or third least snowiest winter so far. So we're definitely behind in the valleys, but the mountains of northern Utah are in pretty good shape, and they'll be looking even better after this storm.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Alec Desmond with the National Weather Service.
Special coverage of the top national story.
We got word, I think it was yesterday afternoon, that a federal judge has allowed the Trump administration to move forward with its resignation offer for federal employees. Dave and I have talked a lot about that over the past couple of weeks, so we wanted to bring you up to date on what was happening with that. So the federal judge said you can go ahead with it. It looks like the number I'm looking at right now, at least, is 77,000 federal workers, which is about 4% of those who are eligible, have accepted the deferred resignation offer, which will keep them paid through September.
And I wonder how many people right now are kind of kicking themselves for not jumping on that, because there was some concern, and I think maybe justifiably so, because this was such a revolutionary concept to go out there and offer people essentially 8 months of severance, say, hey, you're going to be done in September. But I wonder how many people really trusted that this was for real, that this would be able to go forward. And now that we have seen over the last several weeks the Department of Government Efficiency and Elon Musk go through massive cancellations of contracts and downsizing, I wonder how many people right now are just disappointed they didn't jump on this resignation deal.
Well, I wonder if the subject line "fork in the road" had something to do with the concern of taking the offer. You have something like that drop in your inbox, and we're so heavily trained. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I took it when I worked for the
sure.
federal government. When I work here, I take this training. Like, don't open an email you're not expecting because you don't want to infect the entire system and crash the email system. So, I mean, it says fork in the road. I think if it was presented in a different manner, perhaps, where they were meeting with the HR department or they were receiving it in a more of a memo form, they might have felt a little more comfortable with it. But at any rate, 77,000 did. So that's 4%, but it's off target from what the White House's what they were looking for. They were hoping between 5 and 10% of employees would take the offer. But again, I wonder if it's just
that subject line and then the text of the email as well scared some off from taking it. It will allow these employees who did take the offer to leave their jobs while receiving pay through September.
And what's going to happen now? If Musk and Doge, if they go forward and continue cutting jobs, now they're not on the hook any longer for these huge severance packages, because that is a huge severance, 8 months worth of salary that you'd be collecting. And now if you lose your job, you don't have these same promises.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that shakes out and what the next phase is, because there has been talk about continued job actions. I don't have any specific word on that. Have you seen anything, Dave, on that?
President Trump is going to be talking soon about the most recent Doge findings. They're holding some press conferences in the Oval Office. They're kind of giving some of these updates. It's interesting how much is going on right now, because not only are the Doge findings, the reduction in force, the cancellation of contracts, that is dominating headlines. But let's not forget, we've got the Senate confirming Trump's cabinet members. Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic representative out of Hawaii, she just got confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. Robert F. Kennedy just got confirmed as Health and Human Services Secretary. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts going on right now. You had a great term, flooding the zone.
Flooding the zone.
There's a lot going on right now in Washington.
Yeah. New administration, lots of new action, and it is coming at us fast and furiously. And thankful to Maria Chaleos and our team of reporters and producers from picking it up from here to give us the latest information, not only on this, but also more on that storm that's finally moving in. Maria's next.
All the other programs out there pushed the drugs, and I wanted to do it not using drugs.
Worried about all the side effects from the new weight loss drugs? Let Soda Weight Loss help you let go of the weight for good, without drugs, injections, or side effects.
It was just time. We saw ourselves in a picture and said, let's do it. And he called, and it's just been a wonderful journey. Soda has all the parts that made it successful for us to lose weight. The counseling without drugs, it's the best program in my book.
Soda Weight Loss is the #1 weight loss program in America for client satisfaction and results. And we have the proof at sodaweightloss.com. Right now, when you join with a partner, you only pay for one. Let Soda Weight Loss help you drop that